Lu Zongzi's demonic body suddenly trembled violently, and his facial features were distorted. Finally, he was completely deformed. The head and the entire body were one. After a few twists, it turned into a ball of demonic chi and was directly absorbed into the pillar. Everyone stared at the pillar. His face suddenly became strange, and his eyes were wide and round, emitting light. "How is it?" He seemed a little impatient. He had waited for 6 days before he could refine it. This was beyond his patience. The expression and light on the pillar's face kept changing. After a long while, it slowly opened its eyes and let out a long breath. Its eyes became a little strange. As for the toad-like demonic beasts around the formation, they suddenly flipped backward and died. "What's going on?" Richard asked with a frown. Zhu blinked and then used his MO skill to check his body. He said happily, "This demon body is so nourishing. I feel like I'm just a step away from breaking through to the Demon Lord realm." He couldn't help but be ecstatic as he laughed. "Haha, it's true. I didn't expect it to be so nourishing." The judge and the others were all shocked, and envy and jealousy flickered in the eyes of several fiend lords. Only Xianxia's expression remained unchanged. "Who asked you that?" Richard said impatiently. "Did you find his main body? We've been delayed for 6 days. In order to recover his strength, Lu Zongzi might have steamed the devil egg to eat." Zhu's whole body trembled, and he suddenly jumped up, saying in shock, "Maybe it's possible. Follow me." He frowned. After devouring Lu Zongzi's demon body, he seemed to have sensed something, and he suddenly rose into the sky and flew in a direction. Although the shooting star city was large enough, their escape techniques were extremely fast. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, they had arrived in the sky above a dilapidated stone house. The house was extremely ordinary, no different from the surrounding residences. But Zhu's expression changed. He pointed at the house and said, "It's down here." "Retreat," the judge shouted. "Everyone in the vicinity, back off immediately. If you can survive for 10 breaths, I don't care if you're dead or alive." As the demonic sound spread, a commotion immediately came from the stone house. Many demons flew out of their houses in shock and anger. However, when they saw who it was, their anger instantly turned to ice. They were so scared that their faces turned white, and they turned into flowing lights to escape. He waited for 10 breaths. When most of the demons nearby had run away, he raised his hand and clenched his fingers. The sky immediately became wrinkled, and the demonic chi within a radius of thousands of feet rolled, crazily transforming into various giant beast forms and surging into his 5 fingers. In an instant, a black ball of light with a diameter of 70 to 80 feet appeared above the palm, emitting a terrifying power. Zhu was shocked. "You must be careful. Don't hurt the devil egg." "Don't worry," Xianxia said coldly. 6 days are enough for them to move the devil egg. I can't sense any problems at the moment, so most of the people below have retreated." Zhu frowned. "Not necessarily. I have a vague impression of this place. It seems that there are more than 10 powerful restrictions set up below to isolate all detection. You won't be able to find anything from the outside." "I hope so." Xianxia had his arms crossed over his chest the whole time as he looked on coldly. No one present wanted Lu Zongzi to die more than he did. The black ball on Chi's palm was still growing, and it blocked all the light when it was more than 30 meters tall. He laughed nastily as he clenched his 5 fingers and slapped downwards. The demonic ball rolled down like a huge meteorite, slowly falling toward the stone house. Boom! The house was instantly shattered into pieces, and the demonic ball exploded on the ground. A terrifying aura soared into the sky and penetrated the earth, crushing in all directions. Xianxia's eyes flickered. In an instant, he saw that under the cracked earth, layers of underground restrictive spells were activated, but every one of them was annihilated as soon as they touched the demonic ball, without any resistance. After all, the power of the demonic ball was too terrifying. Under the bombardment, everything within a radius of tens of thousands of feet was razed to the ground, and a huge, bottomless pit was revealed. After the magic ball exploded, the earth returned to silence. Looking around, there was only dead silence, but the space still gave off a deafening roar that reverberated in the void for a long time. They've all left as expected. Xiao's pupils constricted, and a faint look of anger appeared in his eyes. He looked at the pillar and said, "Try to sense it again and see if you can detect his true body." Zhu's expression was also a bit ugly. He nodded and stood in the void with his hands in a seal. He closed his eyes and began to sense. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and looked into the distance. Over there. They seemed to be charging out of the city. As soon as he finished speaking, the space around him twisted, and Xiao was the first to rush out. In the blink of an eye, his tail was gone. "Let's go!" The referee also shouted. With a few flashes, he executed his strongest movement technique and chased after them. The remaining demon lord Yi Xiaohong and the others also hurriedly gave chase, but they were clearly too slow. After Xiao had fled dozens of miles away, he felt a violent tremor in space. A spatial tremor of this level was definitely not as simple as an ordinary battle. He immediately judged that Lu Congzi and the others must be bombarding the city's defender array. The Devil World lacked alchemists, and very few cities had defensive formations. As the core of the demon tribe, Shooting Star City was one of those few cities. Yi and the others also sensed it, and in their rage they flew madly in the direction of the epicenter. "Who are you? Who dares to be so impudent?" On one of the walls of the Shooting Star City, a large number of demons had gathered. They were all looking at the sky in fear. A mass of demonic shadow was like a black cloud, floating randomly in the sky, occasionally hitting the barrier in the void. Boom! Every time they hit the barrier, a deep, pitch-black pit would be created. The pit extended all the way to the outside of the barrier, but it could not break the barrier. All the demons of the demon tribe were stunned. They had been guarding the Shooting Star City for many years, so they naturally knew the power of the barrier. Normally, even if he attacked with all his strength, there would be almost no reaction. However, every time the demonic cloud hit, it would shake out a deep pit. The strength was already unimaginable. Gulp! The person in charge of guarding the city swallowed with difficulty, his face bitter. He looked at the terrifying black cloud and knew that everyone would die if they rushed out. However, if they didn't rush out and waited for the black cloud to escape, they would still die without a doubt when the higher-ups blamed them. Moreover, it would implicate his family and friends. They would both die, so he knew which was more important. He immediately shouted, "Who dares to be so impudent? Everyone, stop the enemy!" After saying that, he jumped out first and charged towards the black cloud with a black spear. The faces of the many experts of the Kuan tribe who were guarding the city also changed drastically, but they also instantly understood what was going on. They all rushed forward with great difficulty. The deafening shouts were only to encourage himself. He also released all the magical beasts and birds he had kept, and they all rushed into the sky. The demonic cloud hit the defensive magic screen again. With a loud boom, a 300-meter deep black hole appeared in the sky. In a certain part of Shooting Star City, at the core of the city's protective formation, several screams rang out. Several demon lords who had been operating the formation with all their strength were directly devoured by the formation's power, their bodies exploding in the air. The rest of the demon lords were even more frightened. They looked at the blue crystal ball in the eye of the array and cracks began to appear on it. The city's defensive formation is about to be broken. Hurry and inform Lord Hu. After a brief moment of fear, one of the demon lords shouted and scattered, running towards Arcade Hall. At this moment, the surroundings of the black hole created by the black cloud began to become a little strange. It emitted a large number of tiny mosquito sounds, and fine snowflake-shaped patterns appeared everywhere. Not good. Stop! The person in charge of the city wall roared and charged forward. His spear burned in the air and he stabbed at the demonic cloud. At this moment, the sky was like a glass cover full of cracks, about to break. The black cloud suddenly stopped in the air, and a monster suddenly rushed out from it. Its body was fat and covered in scales, and it even had a pair of mountain-like wings. The monster spat out a ray of demonic light, which turned into a few crescent-shaped slashes that came down with the hurricane. Boom! The demonic light hit the demonic monarch, forcing him back thousands of feet. A large amount of demonic chi emerged from his body. He had been directly injured. What's going on? What is that thing that can actually hurt me? I've never seen it before. The demon lord was surprised and stared at the demonic beast for a while. He felt that it looked familiar, but he couldn't recall it for a while. At this moment, a large number of demons on the city's defense all rushed up without a care for their lives. The demonic beast opened its mouth and let out a roar, charging towards the demons. The first attack had already taken many lives. This barrier is much stronger than I expected. The Kuan division has indeed recruited many talents over the years. The demonic clouds began to spread in the sky, gradually growing larger and at the same time becoming thinner. Terrifying auras came from within, as if they were from powerful demons, as if they were the rulers of the earth. The demonic beast sensed the aura behind it and stopped chasing the scattered guards. It returned to the sky and stood guard in front of the demonic clouds. Suddenly, the demonic beast seemed to have received some kind of order. It raised its head and looked at the shattered light shield in the sky. Its huge head nodded, and its eyes burst out with a fierce light. It suddenly rushed up. Don't! The person in charge of the city's defense shouted with all his might, but his voice was so pale. Boom! The demonic beast plunged into the shattered light shield, and the entire sky was filled with a loud bang. The barrier was reduced to countless snowflakes. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the snowflakes suddenly stopped, as if they were pulled by some force. In an instant, they spun toward the demonic beast where they had broken through. The powerful magical beast trembled and was immediately shackled by the countless snowflakes. It slowly turned into an ice sculpture, frozen in the sky and becoming a work of art. Everyone looked at this scene in horror. They didn't expect that the moment the defender array was broken, it could still have such power. TSK. It's just as I expected. It's a pity that primordial form Zhichen. A soft sigh came from the devil cloud. It was Lu Zongzi's voice. Soon after, the black cloud flashed and turned into a streak of light that flew out of the city. Their goal was to leave the shooting star city, and they had no interest in the city's defense. If it was any other time, they would definitely stop and exterminate these people. Stop! The person in charge roared, gritted his teeth, grabbed the spear, and rushed forward again. This series of changes also attracted the attention of the people around. Although they knew that the enemy was strong, a large number of demons who were not afraid of death still rushed over. Their terrifying attacks were like tens of thousands of arrows, hitting the demonic cloud. Bang! 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 The attacks fell like rain and shot into the demonic clouds, but there was no reaction. It was as if they were all swallowed. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud explosion and the demonic cloud exploded. The world turned dark and everyone felt dizzy. Then, a large number of demonic creatures rushed in all directions. Ah! In an instant, a large number of screams rang out. Many people had died in the blink of an eye before they could understand what had happened. What? This is Ing Luo. The man in charge was so frightened that he began to tremble. After the demonic clouds exploded, a large number of demonic creatures appeared. Among them, there was no lack of the terrifying demonic beasts from before. Every blow from them would blow up a large number of demons. The demonic chi that filled the sky flew in all directions amidst the loud shwa-shwa sounds. What kind of monsters are these Tao Wu? The person in charge was so scared that his limbs were stiff. He did not notice at all that a wolf-like monster with sharp claws and fangs had appeared behind him. Eft! The wolf-like monster's claws suddenly reached out and stabbed into his back. Countless demonic fiends scuttled out from the wound. The person in charge knew that he had no chance of survival, so he suddenly raised his hand and thrust the spear behind him. Bang! There was another explosion, and another demonic beast rushed over. It smacked his head on the spot, and his entire body immediately disintegrated into the lowest-level demonic fiend, flying away with a swish. In just a few breaths, more than half of the Asmodeans who had rushed up were killed or injured. The remaining ones had also run far away, not daring to come close. "Humph! You've wasted my time." Lu Zongzi was quite dissatisfied. He waved his hand and boarded a golden chariot beside him. The chariot was more than 10 feet long and was surrounded by flowing lights. Under the cover of the light, 12 muzzles were pointing in all directions. The chariot was dragging a huge oval metal object that was engraved with all kinds of formations. At the front, there were 8 magical beasts that were neither horses nor dragons pulling them. Under their orders, they madly galloped forward. The demonic beasts and birds that filled the sky immediately followed the chariot on both sides, roaring as they ran in the sky. No one dared to stop them. All of a sudden, Lu Zongzi's pupils constricted, and demonic light burst out of them as he stared ahead. 10,000 feet away, a figure stood alone. His blade-like eyes pierced through the space and stared at him coldly. "Li Yunxiao, die!" Lu Zongzi trembled under the gaze. He suddenly came back to his senses and roared. A light-colored copper whip in his hand was unsealed. As he swung it forward, a sharp aura spread out. Suddenly, thousands of beasts galloped forward. As if they had received an order, the hundreds of powerful demonic beasts and birds on both sides all burst out with fierce gleams and rushed toward Yunxiao. Lu Zongzi's face was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. Not far away, 2 beams of demonic light shot over, one after the other, and turned into Nie and Zhu. When Zhui saw this, he said angrily, "Lu Zongzi, it's him." The war chariot was dragging a huge golden ball, and with a glance, one could tell that it was a devil egg. Zhu was slightly relieved and said in a cold voice, "This damn thing!" Fortunately, he had arrived in time. Otherwise, he would have escaped. But what's with Yingluo and the other magical beasts? He looked at the demonic beasts and birds with some shock. They all exuded a suffocating aura, but even with his knowledge, he rarely recognized them. The judge's face was also solemn, and his pupils constricted as he looked at Yunxiao, who was standing in front of him. Frowning, he said, "He still dares to block such a sharp blade under the might of thousands of troops. Does he not want to live? With his innate lightning body's escape technique, it shouldn't be a problem for him to avoid the beast's attacks," Zhu sneered. As soon as he finished speaking, the two's pupils shrank, and they couldn't help but be shocked. Yunxiao raised his hand, and a golden light flickered in his palm, which then turned into a palm-sized golden leaf, emitting a dazzling light like the sun. The golden leaf expanded in the wind and instantly became half the size of a person. A large number of runes flickered on it. It was also Yunxiao's first time using the smiling face of the secular world. Most of his spiritual power and devil essence were sucked out by the fan, and it was still being poured in endlessly. Yunxiao's face changed drastically. The demonic beasts that could topple mountains and overturn the seas in front of him were charging over. Just the air waves alone were enough to make the space around him buzz. The power of this fan seemed to be above his expectations. In a few breaths, it had almost sucked him dry. But the arrow was already on the string and had to be released. Yunxiao cried out as a strong wind rolled up from his arm and blew down, causing the golden light on the blades to flutter. "Hoo!" The golden fan swept toward the myriad beasts and birds, and a gale immediately swept up. The entire space trembled violently as if it were about to collapse. Yunxiao's face flickered as he was shocked by the fan's power. Streams of flame-like wind condensed in the surroundings and spread forward at a terrifying speed and power. The ground exploded with a bang bang bang, as if the entire world had turned into a purgatory of wind and fire in an instant. The sky and the ground seemed to have fused into one and could no longer be distinguished from each other. There was only wind and fire. The two terrifying elements wreaked havoc, tearing the world apart as if chaos had just begun. The large number of demonic beasts and demon birds were immediately swept up by the two elements and sent flying in all directions. An astonishing scene played out outside the city wall. Within a few thousand feet in front of Yunxiao, all the devils were shaken away, and many of them were penetrated by the power of wind and fire, dying on the spot and disintegrating into the purest fiend energy. Lu Zongzi gasped and hurriedly pulled the chariot back in horror. The 8 creatures that were neither dragons nor horses immediately stopped, all of them revealing a look of horror. Although the power of wind and fire was quite far away, it still rushed over, shaking them so much that they stretched out their necks and cried out, jumping wildly on the spot. "What's that, Ing Luo?" Nye and Zhu were stunned. The two of them stood in the distance in a daze, as if their brains had short-circuited. Lu Zongzi stared at the proud smile of the secular world with a fierce look in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and shouted, "What a powerful wide-area attack profound-level weapon! Li Yunxiao, you've got it!" He waved the whip in his hand with all his might, and a large number of runes shot out. Only then did the 8 magical beasts gradually calm down, but their eyes were still filled with fear. Man's voice came out from the chariot. "What kind of profound-level weapon is that? It had such power that it sent hundreds of demonic creatures flying. It's simply unheard of. Isn't it too terrifying?" "Don't panic, my lord," Lu Zongzi said. "According to my observation, that profound-level weapon is just a kind of profound-level weapon that makes use of the laws of heaven and earth to carry out large-scale attacks. There was a huge problem with this kind of profound-level weapon. Although it had a wide range, its power was not enough. Although these demons were jolted away, they didn't suffer any serious injuries. Their fighting strength is still there." Man said in a deep voice, "I'm not thinking about this problem anymore. The reinforcements are already here. I'm afraid we're in big trouble." "Can't you defeat the church with your current strength, sir?" Lu Zongzi frowned. "Of course we can win, but it'll be difficult to hide our identity," Mandao replied. Lu Zongzi's eyes flickered with a strange light. He curled his lips and said, "Since things have come to this, we can only take one step at a time." The chariot fell silent. Soon Xiao Hongyi and the others caught up. They looked at the sorry state of the sky, the earth being torn apart, and the sparks flying everywhere. There was also the astral wind wreaking havoc like blades. All of them couldn't help but reveal shocked expressions. The referee's heart skipped a beat, and he said in horror, "Laughing proudly in the world of mortals." Yunxiao was still standing quietly in front of them. All the demonic beasts and birds had been thrown back hundreds of thousands of feet, leaving him alone. A large number of demons of the Kuan tribe had come from all directions. They had all seen the scene just now and were so scared that they didn't dare to approach. In their eyes, Yunxiao was even more terrifying than the referee. At this moment, the one who was complaining the most was Yunxiao himself. The power of the proud smile of the mortal world was far beyond his expectation, and to make matters worse, it had drained all his physical strength. His right hand trembled, and with a flip of his palm, he put away the banana fan. He was afraid that if he was careless and hit again, he would be directly turned into a dried man. Yunxiao thought to himself, "It seems that the more powerful a profound-level weapon is, the better it is. It must also have the strength to match such power." Whether it was the proud smile of the mortal world, the demonic weapon of the 6 paths, or the terrifying rise and fall of the Lord of the World. At this moment, Mo Haju also regained his senses. The two of them looked at each other and saw the shock and fear in each other's eyes. As if they had a tacit understanding, both of them landed thousands of feet in front of Yunxiao and stared at Lu Zongzi with cold faces. Zhu sneered, "Good boy, you actually dare to play with us. Now, are you going to surrender? Or do you want us to send you to the west?" Lu Zongzi said coldly, "Your words are really harsh. You must have gained a lot of benefits by refining a demon body. How dare you say I'm playing you? I'm afraid that today will be a battle to the death." "Humph! What a good fight to the death. Do you have the right?" He sneered. "Aren't these 4 words a little too exaggerated?" "Humph!" Lu Zongzi also snorted coldly. "The Kuan tribe is indeed strong, but I might not lose to you." He raised the copper whip in his hand, and the scattered demonic beasts and birds seemed to have received a signal, all of them swarming over from all directions. The powerful qi dispersed, causing the faces of all the demons of the Kuan tribe to change. They couldn't help but panic, and the scene began to stir. What kind of race are these demonic beasts and birds? Zhu asked in shock. Why have I never seen him before? Lu Congzi laughed and said smugly, Haha! These are all the blood, sweat, and tears of this old man. The 3rd-generation dragon elephant wisdom goo, the 4th-generation head crane, and the 3rd-generation silly bird wisdom goo ha ha ha. Each type is the crystallization of my wisdom. What? These things are the dragon elephant wisdom goo. The referee was shocked. He looked at the powerful demonic beasts. Not only were their sizes completely different from the dragon elephant Jichin, but their auras and power were also completely different. However, upon closer inspection, there were many similarities. Although it was hard to believe, it proved that Lu Congzi was right. How did you do it? The referee asked in shock. Lu Congzi sneered. Lord Chu seems to be very interested. If you want to know the secret art, you can, but if you kill Yunxiao for me, I'll give you the secret art of modifying these demons. Do you think that your instigation will work? The judge's eyes turned cold. He. Lu Congzi laughed dryly. Perhaps these demonic beasts are not worthy of your attention, my lord. But the dragon elephant wisdom goo 2nd generation that I've developed can directly ignore the realm power of the heavenly martial realm. Is this not attractive to you, my lord? What? Bai and Zhu were both shocked. Zhu even shouted, That's impossible. If there was a way to overcome the realm power, your barbarian tribe would have dominated the realm of heavenly martial arts. Lu Congzi smiled slyly and said, My lord, how do you know that I'm from the barbarian tribe? Do you still want to hide your identity at this moment? Zhu said coldly. If it weren't for the support of one of the 8 departments, how could you have caused such a huge commotion? After I take you down, I'll go find Man Xingshi and question him. Lu Congzi didn't deny it. He chuckled and said, You can think whatever you want and do whatever you want. If you want information on the dragon elephant Jichin 2nd generation, we can have a good talk now. If you want to talk, you must first return the demon egg to me. Zhu stepped forward and shouted. He had now discovered Lu Congzi's great value. If he could develop a demonic beast that could overcome the realm power of the heavenly martial realm, the significance would be immeasurable. It would almost be a pioneering work that would cross the era. But regardless of whether it was true or not, he had to retrieve the demon egg before the negotiations. No. Lu Congzi shook his head and said, Let's talk about the conditions first. If we can't reach an agreement, I'm planning to destroy the demon egg. I've set up hundreds of restrictions on it. As long as I wave my copper whip, that devil egg will instantly turn into ashes. The 3-foot-long copper whip in his hand glowed with runes. As he raised it, the golden egg behind the chariot also flickered. You dare to threaten me? Zhu Jin said angrily. Ha ha ha. What a joke. After laughing, Lu Congzi's face turned cold. He glanced at everyone's faces and said, You all want to kill me? So what's the point of me threatening you? If you can talk, then talk now. If you can't, then we'll all die together. The referee's face was filled with anger as he said coldly, You've really overestimated yourself. At this moment, demon monarchs and demonic creatures were flying over from all directions. Soon, thousands of demons had gathered in the sky. They were all experts of the Kuan tribe. Some of them were alone, while others were in groups of 3 to 5. All of them were staring at the chariot with solemn expressions. Hey, if you're not convinced, you can try. Lu Congzi struck the air with his copper whip, and the cannons on the chariot immediately fanned out and pointed at most of the sky. At the same time, all the demons became nervous and violent. Circles of murderous aura spread out, arousing hostility, and the atmosphere suddenly became heavy. On the contrary, Lu Congzi calmed down at this moment. He sneered as if he had nothing to fear. If you want to talk, what are your conditions? Zhu also calmed down and shouted. Simple, Lu Congzi said. First, let us go. 2. Kill Yunxiao. In that case, I'll return this demon egg to you. I'll also give you the modification technique of the dragon elephant wisdom puppet 2nd generation. It's not as if we can't even give the third generation's modification method. His eyes flickered with a bright light, but they were more filled with cold killing intent as he stared at Xiao. It seemed like he had to kill this thorn in his heart. What do you think? Zhu turned around and looked at Yi. Chu Weiwei frowned slightly as she glanced at Xiao from the corner of her eye and said leisurely, I can still let you leave. As for killing Xiao, if I let you go, you can kill him yourself. It's not good to let my tribe do it. Xiao, who was standing not far away, frowned slightly when he heard this, but he quickly regained his composure. It seemed that the two of them had been convinced by Lu Congzi. After all, the dragon elephant Jichin second generation, who had no vision power, was too attractive. There were no eternal enemies in this world, nor were there eternal friends. With benefits in front of him, it was understandable that Mo Haju would sell him. Furthermore, the Holy See had shown him some mercy and did not want to face him personally. On the other hand, Xiao Hong and Yuan's faces changed drastically. They appeared next to Xiao, their faces filled with anger. Lord Hu, if Lord Li didn't make a move just now, I'm afraid this person would have already escaped, the referee said through gritted teeth. The referee also felt embarrassed and nodded. I know that the two of them are old enemies, so I'm willing to give them a chance to end their own lives. Xiao Hong was furious. Brother Xiao has already used all his strength in that attack just now. How can he still have the strength to fight Lu Congzi? Li Xiao didn't even say anything. Zhu sneered. What are you two girls talking about? The two women clenched their fists and tried to move forward, but they were stopped by an invisible force. It was Xiao who stopped them with a wave of his hand and said, Calm down. Let's wait for them to finish their act. His expression was very calm, but his heart was not as calm as it seemed on the surface. Naturally, he was suppressing his anger. However, the most important thing at this moment was to quickly recover his strength. He had already recovered a lot during the conversation with Lu Congzi and the others. That was why he was too lazy to argue, because in this world, strength spoke for itself. A cold gleam flickered in Xiao's eyes. Then, he closed his eyes with an indifferent expression and continued to regulate his breathing. I'm really sorry, Lord Chu, Lu Congzi sneered. If you don't kill Xiao, I can only satisfy one condition for you, either the devil egg or the research result. Choose one. The referee frowned and killing intent shot out of his eyes. He seemed to think that Lu Congzi didn't know what was good for him, and he was faintly angry. Zhu's expression changed slightly. He noticed the referee's expression and said, Good, I can agree to both of your conditions, but you must come with me. I can guarantee your safety. Take a trip? Lu Congzi narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Could it be that he's going with you to the Arceus region? Zhu's expression changed. Shocked. You know my identity. Lu Congzi nodded and laughed. Haha, since I'm here to steal devil eggs, I naturally have to have a certain understanding of the saint's identity. I'm quite interested in the Arceus region as well, but it's not the time yet. However, I can agree to your request and set a time before going there. When? Zhu asked with a frown. Lu Congzi raised his head slightly, pondered for a moment and said, Today, 1 year later. A year. Zhu only thought for a moment and said, All right, it's a deal. As soon as he finished speaking, the sky suddenly became quiet. The murderous atmosphere spread with the airflow, as if the agreement had begun. Many demons of the Kuan tribe secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If a war were to break out, they didn't know how many of them would be able to survive after dealing with those terrifying mutated demon beasts and birds. Lord E. The referee was furious. Zhu's expression changed. Referee, this is a matter of great importance. This is not the time to be naive. After all, the referee was the master of this place. Although he had promised Lu Congzi, he had to get the referee's consent first. The referee sighed and said, This agreement was made between Lord Zhu and Lu Congzi. It has nothing to do with me. I only agreed to let Lu Congzi go in exchange for the research results in his hands. As for the devil egg and killing Xiao, I will neither oppose nor participate in it. The crowd was stunned for a moment, then immediately understood. Killing intent burst out of the pillar's eyes and he grinned. I understand. It's an agreement between Lu Zongzi and I to kill Yunxiao in exchange for the devil egg, right? Then let me fulfill it myself. He suddenly turned around and stared at Yunxiao, his eyes stabbing into his body like two steel knives. The judge and Xiaohong were both nervous. They stood in front of Yunxiao and stared at the pillar with cold eyes. Zhu frowned and looked at the referee. The little girl on the left, she seems to be from your department? You just said you wouldn't interfere. The referee nodded his head and said, Referee, move. Your Excellency. The referee was shocked and angry as he protested. The judge's face darkened. My words are the rules, he shouted. Anyone who disrespects me will be punished as a traitor. The referee was very anxious and stood there anxiously. He didn't know whether to move away or not. Just as she was hesitating, an extremely powerful force descended from the sky and caught her. Then, the surrounding space rotated and she was thrown a few thousand feet away. The one who made the move was Bao, who was in charge of the transaction in Arcade Hall. Bao Zheng looked at her expressionlessly and said indifferently, Lord Hu, please calm down. Disobeying orders isn't just your personal matter. It will involve your entire clan. The phoenix's petite body trembled slightly, and a pained look appeared on her face. She glanced into the distance, then lowered her head, as if she felt guilty and did not dare to look at Yunxiao. Hee, there's still a little girl. If Master Hu can help me deal with this little girl, that would be great. Zhu laughed nastily. The referee snorted coldly. This man is Yunxiao's lover, not a member of our tribe. Since I'm not going to interfere, I won't do anything to his people. Hee, childish persistence. Zhu sneered, and then his face was full of killing intent as he shouted, Then I'll send them to the west. Before he finished speaking, a demonic light suddenly rose from his body and flashed in the air, shooting toward the two of them. The demons in the sky dispersed immediately. All the demons flew back to avoid being affected by the battlefield. Yunxiao's eyes flickered as he stared at the flying pillar. He patted Xiaohong's shoulder with his right hand and said, Get out of the way! No! Ah! Xiaohong cried out arrogantly as she broke free from his grip and pounced on him. A demonic light appeared between her hands as she pulled out her battle axe, Alai Xuanzong, and slashed at the demonic light. Both of them knew Zhu's strength. After absorbing Lu Zongzi's demon body, he was only a wall away from the demon lord realm. He was indeed a strong enemy. Be careful. Yunxiao's heart skipped a beat, and his calm state of mind, which had been recovering by absorbing the demonic energy, was instantly thrown into chaos. Boom! The demonic light hit in front of Xiaohong, and Zhu's figure appeared. He slapped the handle of the battle axe with one hand, and it was shaken away with a loud sound. Xiaohong felt as if she had slammed into an iron wall. The violent palm force broke through her attack and defense and directly hit her body. She was sent flying away like a kite with a broken string. Little Red. Yunxiao was taken aback. Although he knew that Xiaohong was not Zhu's opponent, he did not expect her to be so vicious and kill him with one move. His body flickered and he chased after Xiaohong. Humph! You can't even take care of yourself and you still care about her. You can go to hell too. Zhu's face was filled with anger, and his body flickered as he chased after. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on their fight, and they were constantly retreating to open up a battle circle. Lu Zongzi, on the other hand, was sitting leisurely on the chariot, watching with a sneer and mockery on his face. He was very pleased, and he even clapped and laughed from time to time. Man's voice came from the war chariot behind him. He seemed to be very unhappy and snorted coldly. Are you really planning to give them the Dragon Elephant Wisdom Goose research results? I'm forced by the situation, Lu Zongzi chuckled. Besides, I've already memorized the results of the research and have been looking for a way to break through. There will be new results soon, don't worry. Man only fell silent after hearing what he said, not making any more movements. On the battlefield, Yunxiao grabbed Xiaohong first and dodged tens of thousands of feet away to avoid the impact of the pillar. He's quite agile. No wonder he could become the heavenly martial alliance's leader, a figure who leads an entire world. Zhu's face changed slightly and then sneered. But what can we do? When you've reached the end of the road, you have to admit defeat. From the past to now, anyone who wants me dead has basically died, Xianxia said coldly. And obviously you will be the next one. Ha ha ha. Zhu laughed wildly. If it was a day ago, if you hadn't exhausted your physical strength, you might have had a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning. But now it's not even 1 in 10,000. Xianxia ignored him and looked at Xiaohong in his arms. His young and cold face had turned pale, and his willow leaf-like brows were tightly furrowed, his long eyelashes covering his eyes. Although he was unconscious, his hands were still holding onto the ally Xuanzong tightly, and his arms were trembling slightly. Even though she was unconscious, she still had an unyielding will that supported her to hold her weapon tightly. Yunxiao's eyes flickered as he grabbed the ally Xuanzong with one hand and took it off with great strength. Then he sent Xiaohong into the Divine Realm tablet. After that, he held the axe with one hand and stared at the pillar with a murderous look on his face. Hee hee. I can't hide behind a woman to save my life anymore. Coward. You're finally willing to face me. Zhu's face was full of ridicule. His hands crossed in front of his chest as he walked forward step by step, like a cat that had caught a mouse and was playing with it before eating. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Zhu couldn't help but laugh wildly. Suddenly, his body rushed forward, and his big hand was about to slap down. Standing where he was, Xianxia did not dodge. He put ally Xuanzong on his shoulder, and the demonic weapon immediately dissipated in his hand. Then, he stretched out his right hand and made a hand seal with his left hand. A golden light appeared in his palm and instantly turned into a banana fan, the laughing pride of the secular world. Zhu's eyes popped out and he sucked in a cold breath. His body suddenly stopped, and the large hand that was spread out grabbed the air. He forcefully twisted his body in the air and shot to the side, dissolving the impact. He had forcefully suppressed the impact, but it had instead caused him to suffer some light injuries. His face was dark and uncertain as he stared at the smiling face of the secular world. Yunxiao's earth-shaking fan had been seen by many fiends. Now that he saw the fan appear once more, he couldn't help but feel fear. Lu Congzi's expression became serious as he stared at the fan from a distance. He was not afraid, but he was very curious. He even wanted to take it and study it. What fan is this? Zhu said in a deep voice. Yunxiao snorted and said, "TSK, you were so arrogant just now and wanted to stand side by side with the sun. Why are you shitting now? Why are you wilting? This lord is not afraid of you. It's just that I'm a little afraid of the profound level weapon in your hands. If you have the ability, don't use that profound level weapon," Zhu said angrily. Yunxiao's face froze for a moment. Then he said in a daze, "Does Darren really want face? Do you know what a face is?" Many demon lords around also looked at each other, whispering and ridiculing. Although those voices were very low, they all entered Zhu's ears without missing a word. His face turned red and he angrily rebuked, "Even if you want to use it, I'm not afraid of you." Although he said this, he still felt a little guilty in his heart, so he closed in and slapped out with both hands. It wasn't as fierce as before, but it was more like a test. With a sneer, Yunxiao turned the proud smile of the world in his hand and threw the fan leaf horizontally in front of him. Then threw it at the palms. Bang! Zhu's palm power hit the fan leaves, and the rebound caused a strong fire, burning towards his body. However, the demonic chi on the pillar was so strong that the flames couldn't get close to him. Heh, that's all you've got. With this attack, Zhu immediately gained confidence. He felt that this fan was nothing more than this, and he seemed to have been too careful. However, just as he had this thought, his vision turned black. A violent squall surrounded him and he was directly trapped in a tornado. Humph! Small tricks. Zhu retracted his hands and took a few steps back. He carefully looked around and smacked down with a shout. Boom! The palm force pierced through the hurricane, but the wind elements came down wildly, turning into ropes that bound his limbs and body. At the same time, The demonic body of a crocodile appeared behind him. It opened its mouth and bit down, biting off more than half of his head. Zhu was furious. Although the astral wind was powerful, it couldn't hurt his body. It was just that this appearance was too embarrassing. He said angrily, "So it's the 5 elements spiritualism. Die!" He let out a loud roar, and the demonic chi on his body exploded. Bang, bang, bang. The explosion rang out, and the crocodile cried out in pain. The astral winds were shot away, almost crushed into pieces by the demonic chi. At this moment, a black ray of light descended from the sky and slashed down silently. At some point, Yunxiao had appeared beside the pillar. The black light was Alai Xuanzong, and with a flash of cold light, he swung his axe at the pillar. Zhu's heart trembled, and he hurriedly dodged to the side. His hands turned into palms and slammed in front of him, clamping the battle axe between his palms. Bang! A powerful force burst out, shaking the two people's arms until they were numb. Not far away, a few gusts of wind gathered and once again took the form of a crocodile. However, its eyes were filled with fear and it did not dare to move forward. "I have to say, you really have a lot of tricks up your sleeve." Zhu clasped the battle axe with both hands and said ferociously, "If it was any other day, it might really be a little troublesome." "You say it as if it's very easy now," Yunxiao said with a sneer. "It's not like I'm afraid." He grabbed with his left hand, and the Amol treasure appeared. It let out a noisy clang and slashed out. Zhu shouted, "You have a 6-path MO weapon, but your strength is trash and you have insulted the dignity of the MO weapon. Why don't you give me the Emperor Demonic Essence?" He ignored the attack of the Amol treasure. Instead, his eyes were filled with greed. He slapped the battle axe with both hands and forced it back. Then, he took a step forward and grabbed at Yunxiao's throat, trying to extract his fiend essence. The judge frowned slightly. In the battle with the Kuan tribe, he could clearly sense that Yunxiao still had a powerful trump card that he had not used, and even he might not be able to take it. This was the reason why he had always looked at Yunxiao in a different light. In this world, the strong were respected. To gain the respect of others, one had to be strong. But now, seeing Yunxiao getting weaker and weaker as the battle progressed, he could not help but be puzzled. "If you want devil essence, here you go." A fierce gleam flickered in Yunxiao's eyes, as if he had made up his mind. Not only did he not avoid the palm, but he also rushed toward it. Bang! Zhu's palm had pierced through the protective light and entered Yunxiao's body. Ah! Zhang had been watching nervously. Finally, he screamed miserably, his face full of tears. She struggled with all her might and wanted to make a move, but she was firmly suppressed by Bao. A strange expression flashed across Bao's face. He was shocked to find that Yi's strength was not below his, and it was showing signs of being unable to suppress it. He hurriedly said, "Lord Hu, please calm down." Richard cried and struggled for a while, its body trembling. But in the end, it suppressed the grief and anger in its heart. It gradually calmed down and looked over. When the pillar's right hand pierced into Yunxiao's chest, all the demons trembled, and the judge's face changed slightly, with a complicated look in his eyes. He had misjudged Yunxiao's uselessness, and he had respected him for nothing for a while. The most important thing now was who the Emperor Demonic Essence belonged to. What? Even Lu Congzi's eyebrows twitched, and he widened his eyes as he watched. He clenched his fists and couldn't help but feel nervous. Although it seemed that Zhu was going to win, Yunxiao's cold eyes gave him a sense of unease. Could it be that he still has some method to turn the tables? Zhu's move succeeded and he couldn't help being ecstatic. He laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, you're indeed a piece of trash, but you're nothing. The Devil Lord Emperor's devil essence is mine." A powerful suction emerged from his palm and suddenly sucked Yunxiao's devil essence, his face full of excitement and ferocity. Yunxiao gave a muffled grunt. He felt as if his body was about to explode, and the pain made him break out in a cold sweat. But he still forced himself to calm down and followed the great suction force to pull the floating sword energy up. Clang! Suddenly, A distant and melodious sword sound rushed out of his body and condensed into sound waves that were visible to the naked eye. Sound patterns also appeared on Zhu's arm, and his skin was like waves that constantly pushed upwards. What's that? The judge's eyes suddenly widened, and a sharp light shot out from them. It's this sword essence. Yunxiao's body seemed to turn transparent, as if a sword was floating there, and a powerful sword chi was pouring out of it. Not good. Zhu also instinctively felt danger. He didn't draw any devil essence, but drew such a terrifying force. He suddenly stretched out his arm and retreated. Heaven and earth trembled as if time and space had frozen. A powerful sword force burst out and turned into a sword shape that slashed toward the pillar. The sword was too fast. Even if Zhu had the foresight, he couldn't escape this attack. In horror, he hurriedly circulated his internal energy with both hands, and his strongest attack condensed on the tip of his fist, and suddenly blasted out. Boom! The sword shape fell, and he was constantly sent flying backward. The entire earth and sky were instantly torn apart, and a huge chasm appeared in front of everyone. How is that possible? Lu Songzi was so shocked that he cried out, "What kind of sword is that?" Even from within the chariot, there were energy fluctuations of a barbarian's movement. It seemed that, under this sword power, they were somewhat restless. The world fell into a deathly silence. Everyone looked at the world in shock. They were completely unprepared for the sudden appearance of the natural chasm, and their heads were petrified on the spot. The bloody hole in Yunxiao's chest was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Although he was covered in blood and his face was pale, he was full of joy. Although the sword had injured his physical body, it had easily injured Zhu. If he had used his own strength to draw out the sword force, he would probably be like a lamp running out of oil. He had also taken a great risk, using the pillar's power to trap himself and play with fire. Yunxiao adjusted his primordial energy a little, and the wound on his chest quickly healed. Immediately after, a cold killing intent shot out from his eyes. In a flash, he teleported away. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Zhu, his eyes cold. Zhu was still in the posture of punching, his face full of horror and fear. It was not until Yunxiao appeared that he suddenly came back to his senses. With a scream, his body exploded, and a large amount of sword chi burst out of him. Thanks to his powerful strength, he was able to maintain his body and not fall down after being blasted back several dozen steps by the thousands of streaks of sword chi. Zhu raised his hand with difficulty and formed a seal, constantly stabilizing his body, afraid that he would fall down. Large beads of sweat rolled down his forehead as he cried out for help. "Lord Hu, quickly save me." He was also shocked. He recovered from the sword and disappeared. Although he didn't interfere in the battle between the two, he couldn't just sit by and watch the pillar die in his territory. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Yunxiao's face flickered. He made a grabbing motion in the air, summoning the AMO wheel in his hand and throwing it at the man. Bang! The sword had only cut down a few feet before it was hit by a force and bounced back. He had already appeared in front of Zhu to protect him. He said indifferently, "You can't kill him." Yunxiao was forced back a few steps by the blow and looked over coldly. Ha! Ha ha ha! Zhu suddenly laughed, his face full of hatred. "So what if you win? You still can't do anything to me. Ha ha ha." Zhu's expression suddenly changed, and that laughter stopped abruptly, as if someone had grabbed his throat. The referee's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly turned his head, only to see Zhu's fist hit the back of his head. "What's going on? Are you crazy?" The referee glared at him angrily. With a roar, he sent out a palm strike against the fist, exchanging blows. Bang! Zhu's fist exploded, turning into more than 10 demonic fiends and flying away. There seemed to be a chain reaction, and his entire arm fell off. Zhu's whole body suddenly quivered, as if he had recovered from some kind of sluggish state. He said angrily, "I'll kiss you." He suddenly realized what was going on, and he could not help but look at Yunxiao in shock and anger as he cried out, "You're so silly! Pupillary abilities?" His face darkened. Xiao sneered and looked at him coldly, as if he was looking at a dead man. He had used the pillar's unstable state and its emotional state to control its mind and attack. As expected, under the counterattack of the engine, even the slightest movement broke the balance of his state. Under the impact of the engine's power, he directly fell down. "No, don't. Pillar screamed in horror as he watched the monsters come out of his body and run in all directions. His face was full of fear and despair. "Lord E, save me, save me," Zhu wailed. "Who can save me? Who can save me?" Ing Luo in the end. It dropped down to his body, head, and half of his head turned into a 10-directional evil spirit. He couldn't speak at all, and it dropped down to the end and completely disappeared from the world. Richard's face turned extremely ugly. It wasn't that he didn't want to save the pillar, but that the process of decomposition was irreversible. Once he stepped into this process, he could only wait for death. Now that Zhu had died in his territory, things suddenly became troublesome, and he couldn't help but feel a headache. He glared at Xiao, his eyes alternating between killing intent and coldness, which was the manifestation of the complicated feelings in his heart. Although Xiao was no match for him, he was not afraid. He responded coldly and indifferently. "Tisk, TSK, 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 what an exciting battle." Lu Zongzi clapped his hands and laughed, praising. In order to retrieve the demon egg, Lord Zhu directly sacrificed his life for justice. His spirit is worthy of our praise and learning. Even though Lord Zhu has fallen, thousands of Lord Zhu will stand up. Richard, who was already upset, felt even more dizzy when he heard this. He glared at them fiercely. "Lord Chu, this is a great opportunity," Lu Zongzi said with a smile. "As long as you kill Xiao, this devil egg and all my research results will be yours." Richard said coldly, "Do you think I'm as stupid as Zhu? I only want the research results. If you want this devil egg and Li Yunxiao's life, you can take them yourself." "Where's the research result of the dragon elephant Jichin?" he asked. "Yunxiao?" Lu Zongzi was a little surprised. "My lord, are you really not going to consider killing Li Yunxiao? In Yunxiao's current state, he would die without a doubt. Your Excellency only needs to move your fingers, and not only can you get the devil egg, but you can also get the devil essence of the devil Lord Emperor in Yunxiao's body, as well as many top-grade mystic artifacts." "You're right. I'm tempted," Jianjia laughed. However, it was more reassuring to see the transactions come one by one. "I'll use the research results to buy your life first. As for whether we want to trade a second time, I'll decide based on the situation." Lu Zongzi's face twitched. He just realized that Nie was not a simple person. He was even a little difficult to deal with, unlike Zhu, who was simple-minded and careless. He immediately took out a jade slip with an unsightly expression and threw it over, saying, "The things that my lord wants are all in here." He took the jade slip and scanned it with his divine sense. He couldn't help but reveal a happy expression. He gave it a cursory glance and carefully put it away after confirming that it was real. "Not bad. I'm very satisfied with this item. You can go now." "What about this devil egg and Li Yunxiao?" Lu Zongzi was taken aback. "What about this devil egg?" He sneered. "The demon egg was brought out of the ancient realm by the saint. What does it have to do with me? I don't know Yunxiao well, so what does his life and death have to do with me? If you want to deal with these two things, do as you please." Lu Zongzi didn't expect him to make such a choice. He focused his eyes and said, "So, if I take the devil egg away and kill Li Yunxiao, you won't object?" "I don't object." The referee stood with his hands behind his back. Lu Zongzi pondered for a while and said, "All right, then please call your subordinates away and clear out the battlefield. I'll take his life with my own hands." The referee nodded and said loudly, "Everyone, please disperse. Do whatever you like. Whether you want to watch from the side or join the battle, it's all up to you, and has nothing to do with our Yu clan." Lu Zongzi's expression changed slightly, as if he had realized something. Sure enough, in the distance, the judge's figure flickered and landed next to Yunxiao. Then he said loudly, "People of the Kuan tribe, follow me and kill this Lu Congzi." Immediately, dozens of beams of light flew over and surrounded Yi. "Master Chu, have you really thought it through?" Bao sighed. "With the strength of your people, you won't be able to stop these demonic beasts." "I've considered it very clearly," said Yi with a straight face. "Lord Li is my friend. I can't just sit by and do nothing." She turned around and smiled at Yunxiao. Yunxiao was touched. He cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks. You're welcome." The referee shook his head and smiled. "Humph." Lu Congzi looked at the two of them with a cold gaze and said, "You're really a sentimental person. No matter where you go, there are women who come out to block knives for you and die for you." "Thank you for your praise, Chief," Yunxiao said with a faint smile. "I'm being sincere." Lu Congzi sneered. "I didn't praise you at all. Then I'll send you two to be a pair of mandarin ducks that share the same fate. It's just a small tribe, like a mantis trying to stop a chariot." He waved the copper whip in his hand, and the surrounding magical beasts and birds immediately became alert, ready to attack. The 12 cannons on the chariot also turned and pointed at Yunxiao and the others. "Are you all afraid of death?" the referee asked in a deep voice. The faces of the members of the Vatican turned pale, but no one dared to speak up at this moment. Richard looked behind him, especially when he saw Yi Mi and the others' expressions flickering. He said, "I shouldn't have ordered you as the clan leader and put you in this dangerous situation. If anyone wants to leave now, I won't stop them." Many of the demons were somewhat moved, their eyes secretly looking over, but they didn't dare to move first. After all, the entire Vatican was watching them. If they abandoned their master at such a critical moment, no one would look up to them anymore. It would be difficult for them to survive in the Vatican. Suddenly, Yi sighed and stood out. He cupped his fists and said, "Lord Hu, I'm sorry. I understand. I don't blame you." Ishin's expression was a little dejected. He said, "I followed you for a better future, but now I'm like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. I won't have any future at all." Then he looked at me. Miya's face was filled with struggle, but he finally suppressed the fear in his heart. He exhaled and smiled. "You can go. I choose to stay. Good luck." Yi's face was a little uncomfortable. She nodded and left without looking back. The two demon monarchs of the Ishbara tribe also hurriedly followed. They didn't even have the courage to say goodbye as they lowered their heads and chased after him. Chu Weiwei was disappointed. "There's still time for you to leave." "I won't blame you," she continued. The remaining demons had determined looks on their faces, and no one left. "Thank you, everyone," the referee nodded. She then turned around and shouted, "As you all know, I have some achievements in the art of magic. If anyone is willing to help me at this moment, I will owe him a favor. If you can survive this time, I will definitely thank you in the future." This immediately caused many demon lords to be moved, complicated expressions flickering in their eyes, and many people began to discuss in low voices. "Humph. If you lose your life, what's there to talk about?" A demon lord couldn't help but snicker, his voice loud enough to immediately snap everyone out of their fantasies. That's right, with such a huge difference in strength, there was no way he could survive. The surroundings immediately fell silent. Knowing that they would not win, no one was willing to come forward and throw their lives away. The referee coldly looked at the person who spoke. It was Shan, one of the Northwest tribes, who had previously asked her to build a teleportation formation. "What a pity. Looks like I'll have to find someone else," Shan said coldly. Suddenly, two demonic lights flickered and appeared on the battlefield. Powerful auras were emitted. They were 2nd grade demon lords. The appearance of these two people immediately caused a great commotion. "Lord Lu, Lord Yun." The referee was overjoyed. "I heard that master who can refine the green glass pill," Lulu said, expressionless. Green glass pill. As soon as he said that, the crowd burst into an uproar. "That's impossible. Isn't that thing something that only exists in legends?" It's said that this pill can increase the chances of breaking through to the demon lord realm, but no one has seen its true form for millions of years. Even if there is such a pill, It's impossible for you to know how to refine it, right? Even the judge was moved, his eyes shining. Richard's expression changed as well. He stared at Lu for a while and said with a complicated expression, "It seems that your excellency has been asking for information from our Vatican. Master, whose strength suddenly increased at a certain stage," Lulu said. "It should be because of the green glass pill, right?" "That's right," E nodded. "I've indeed taken the green glass pill. This pill was extremely beneficial to the demon race, but it could only be consumed once in a lifetime. It would be a waste to consume more. Although I know the method of refining this pill, I can't refine it. However, I do have a completed green glass pill." "What?" Lu Gang's face was filled with disappointment when he heard her say that she couldn't refine it. However, his expression immediately turned into ecstasy, and his body began to tremble. The referee said, "But there is only one of this pill, and the two lords are so angry." "No problem," Lu immediately replied. "Yun only came out to help me. As long as you give me the green glass pill, the two of us will help you this time. However, we can't guarantee your life or death." "All right, thank you for your help," the referee said happily. "Life and death are naturally up to you and the heavens." She took out a black jade box and threw it over. Lu carefully opened the box and was overjoyed when he saw it. He quickly put it away and said, "That's right." This time, the surroundings became even more noisy. Many demon lords even regretted not being the first to refine it, but there was only one pill and he could no longer refine it, so there was nothing they could do about it. Lu Zongzi wasn't in a hurry. He watched them play for a while and sneered. "Finished? If you're done playing, then go to hell. You even found 2 scapegoats before you died. I really admire you." After he finished speaking, he waved the copper whip down. The cannons on the chariot immediately rumbled, and 12 streams of light shot into the sky. They had just traveled 1,000 feet before dispersing on their own and turning into a rain of light. It was actually a large-scale, indiscriminate attack. No wonder Lu Zongzi was so fearless. It turned out that he had such a powerful weapon that could attack a large area. The demons in the surroundings scattered in panic. He was also shocked as he looked at the chariot and the golden egg behind it. He couldn't help but admire Lu Zongzi, who was indeed a peerless genius. The referee looked at the pouring rain of light and said in shock, "Be careful! It's just a small trick. That fan can solve this problem." Suddenly, Yun Xiao snorted coldly and made a grabbing motion with one hand. A golden leaf emerged in his palm, turning into the laughing pride of the mortal world. Richard said worriedly, "Your injury?" "No problem." Yun Xiao shook his head slightly. "It's fine." His injuries were indeed much lighter than they looked, and he had not used much essence energy in the battle with Zhu. He poured his spiritual energy into the banana fan, and instantly golden runes flickered. With a fan, a strong wind suddenly blew, and the fire was monstrous. The air within a radius of 1,000 feet was turned into sharp blades that scattered in all directions, and terrifying flames spurted out of the void, soaring into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The rain of light was blocked by the power of wind and fire, unable to fall into the vacuum. Lu Zongzi's face changed, and he shouted angrily, "Go!" The runes on the copper whip were unsealed and revolved around the whip. The eyes of the several hundred devilish beasts and birds suddenly burst with a fierce light as they roared and charged over from all directions. It was like a terrifying beast tide. The demon monarchs of the Kuan tribe retreated again and again, and some of their magical beasts couldn't help but tremble. "Everyone, be careful!" The referee suddenly shouted. "Form a circle. I'll use the formation to protect us." She opened her arms, and 12 black lights shot out, turning into huge demonic spirits. With a rumble, they stomped on the ground and walked in 12 directions to meet the demons. Lu Zongzi's body trembled, and he said in shock, "The 12 divine beings? What's going on? Why is there a 12 divine beings killing formation here?" The 12 divine fiends moved and immediately formed a huge enchantment, covering the void and protecting the Kuan tribe people. At the same time, the god fiends formed hand seals and attacked in all directions. The power of these fiends is limited. Xianxia shouted. Follow behind them and move randomly. Kill as many enemies as you can. Lord Li is right. He flew up and stood in the center of the formation. I'll be in charge of the formation here, so you can kill the enemy without worry. The group dispersed, and every few of them charged toward a divine fiend. They hid under the divine fiend's cover and began to attack the demonic beasts and devil birds outside in a frenzy. However, there were too many demonic creatures. Under their brutal attacks, the entire formation started to shake and the space was constantly distorted. Yi's expression changed drastically, and he quickly sent out all kinds of runes that flew into the surroundings. Come out, Xianxia shouted. Draw the demons away and reduce the pressure on the array. With that, he stepped out of the array and flew a few thousand feet away. As expected, a large number of demons instantly rushed towards him. There were more than 10 birds and beasts. Xianxiao's heart jolted. He reached out his left hand, and a shield appeared in his hand. Then, he smashed it toward the wolf-shaped demonic beast in the front. A beast's head appeared in front of the shield, and it opened its mouth to bite down. The wolf-shaped magical beast was stunned for a moment, and its body involuntarily trembled. However, its expression was extremely dull, and it fearlessly opened its claws to grab the beast's head. Bang! Xianxia had used a great deal of strength in his attack. When the shield hit the demonic wolf's claw, the sound of bones cracking was heard, and the wolf was sent flying. Xianxia felt a little depressed. The beast head on the shield should be some kind of extremely powerful demonic beast, which had a certain suppressing effect on the creatures of the demonic realm. However, these birds and animals had all been modified and mutated by Wuxia, so they completely ignored the suppression of this level. Since that's the case, I can only behead him. It was too inefficient to knock these things with the shield, so Xianxia took out the AMO wheel and spun the 12 fortune wheels to strike at the demons. Swish! With a spin of the AMO wheel, it directly cut off the wing of a bird. The wing fell into the air and disintegrated into a demonic fiend, flying away with a swish. After Xianxiao's attack, the demons pounced on him, and the air around them was compressed to the point that it burst. He sneered and did not fight back. Instead, his figure disappeared on the spot in a flash. In the next moment, he appeared behind a stupid bird and directly chopped off the head of that stupid bird. However, he quickly frowned. That silly bird didn't die after losing its head. A head directly popped out of its stomach and continued to attack him. What kind of terrifying modifications did that bastard Wuxia make to these things? Xianxia felt as if he had 10,000 alpacas running through his heart, but he had to admit that Wuxia was indeed an extremely terrifying genius. In addition, several demon lords also walked out of the formation, including Lu, Yun, Z, Mi, and others. They did a great deal of splitting the formation, making the referee's expression slightly better. However, these demon lords who had come out to fight alone soon fell into a dangerous situation. Each of them was besieged by a group of demons. We can't go on like this. Even if we can resist these demons, we will have to pay a great price. Xianxiao's face darkened. He clenched his left hand, and with a clatter, the devil essence lock spun out and bound all the 10-odd devils around him. The demons' bodies froze as if they were fixed in place, but they instantly came back to their senses and struggled with all their might. However, they were extremely weak. The demonic beast that had been so mighty a moment ago was now like a candle in the wind. Woof! Xianxia slashed out more than 10 times in a row, hitting the demons' heads. With a flash of sword light, the demons exploded one by one. Bang! 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 A large amount of fiend fell out. Xianxia grabbed it with his left hand, and the fiend lock retracted and wrapped around his arm. He had a total of 3 devil essence locks on him. Previously, one of them was destroyed in the battle with Yue on Songshen Mountain. The sudden change immediately attracted the attention of a large number of fiend monarchs, who turned their eyes from the 12 divine beings' fiend formation to Xianxia in unison, their faces filled with surprise. Xianxia grunted. He would never use the fiend lock in front of these demons unless he had no other choice. If they found a way to break it, he would lose a trump card in the War of the Two Worlds. However, he couldn't care too much at this time. If he couldn't even get through this, there wouldn't be a future. Lu Zongzi immediately recognized the Devil Essence Lock, and his expression changed drastically. He stood up from the warship with horror in his eyes. The demonic vitality lock was something that his master's lineage had developed after several generations. Its internal structure was extremely complex, and it was extremely difficult to replicate even one. Although he had found a way to break it and the lock was useless to him, it was still the nemesis of these demons. What is that metal chain? In the blink of an eye, Xianxia had killed more than a dozen demons, and all the demons around him, including the judge, were shocked. The judge's pupils constricted, and his heart was in turmoil. When he was on Mount Zongxian, he had seen Xianxia use this iron chain to trap you. Although he found it magical at that time, he did not pay much attention to it because the time was short, and the iron chain was also destroyed by the blow. But now it seemed that there was more than one of them. All the demons who were locked up were suppressed, and even two of the terrifying existences like Dragon Elephant Jichin III had been easily killed by Xianxia. Lu Zongzi couldn't sit still any longer. He roared and rushed forward, raising the copper whip in his hand and hitting the Devil Essence Lock. With this thing, no matter how many monsters there were, it would not be enough for him to kill them. These monsters were his painstaking efforts over the years. Although they could be rebuilt, it was still unacceptable that they would be destroyed like leaks. Humph! You're finally willing to move? With a sneer, Xianxia raised his left hand, and the Devil Essence Lock immediately spread out to avoid Lu Zongzi's copper whip. At the same time, he raised the AMO wheel in his right hand and threw it at the whip. Bang! The copper whip trembled in fear after being hit by the AMO Luan Bao. Lu Zongzi was also hit by the attack and retreated with a muffled groan. Did they mass-produce the mana lock? He asked in shock and anger. Xianxia attacked with his sword and said with a sneer, "It's none of your business." The sword chi spread out and cut through the space. Lu Zongzi didn't dare to take it head-on, so he retreated. Those devils were all in the outer circle. After killing more than 10 of them with his divine might, Xianxia was a little afraid, and when he looked at the Devil Essence Lock wrapped around his arm, he did not dare to approach them. "You want to leave?" Xianxia grinned hideously, and a murderous and solemn look burst out of his eyes. He had finally gotten the chance, so how could he let him escape? The true fiend Dharma idol appeared, dragging as Fansha with one arm. It danced under the incantation seals and shot out like a black snake. Lu Zongzi changed his body techniques several times, but he still couldn't avoid as Fansha's pursuit. After a few dodges, he fell into the nebula surrounded by the iron chains, and he sank deeper with every movement. Lu Zongzi's expression finally changed drastically. At this moment, his feet seemed to have stepped into the void. He did not know where the space under the nebula chain was, but his body was slowly sinking. "Save me!" he shouted at the chariot. "Sir, save me!" The surrounding demons were all shocked as they looked at the chariot. The chariot glowed with a golden light and emitted a layer of faint magical fluctuations, like a barrier. It was still silent under everyone's gaze. Lu Zongzi's expression changed drastically, and he said angrily, "My lord, do you want to abandon me? Don't talk about how valuable I am and how useful I am to you. Even at this moment, you and I are both grasshoppers on the same rope. Do you still want to care about yourself?" "Oh?" Things seemed to be getting interesting. The judge's eyes shot out a mocking look, staring at the golden chariot and laughing strangely. "At this moment, I wonder if there's anyone with the ability to save you? I'd really like to see it for myself." When Lu Zongzi saw that there was still no movement from the chariot, he roared, "No one in the world can break the fiend lock cast by Xianxia just now except me. If I die, your devil world will be finished." Xianxia's face flickered with anger as he shouted, "The traitor of the realm of heavenly martial arts should have died long ago." He formed a hand seal with his fingers and pointed. The nebula in the sky started to spin and swept toward the center. In fact, he also had a selfish motive in his heart. He hoped to force out the whereabouts of Yang Di and the others through Lu Zongzi. But when she thought of the danger he posed, She shuddered and decided to get rid of him as soon as possible. Xianxia danced in the air, and his terrifying power crushed the space and crushed toward Lu Zongzi. Bang! Suddenly, a black light flashed, and he came to a stop in the air as if a gear had been stuck. A burly figure had appeared on the chain at some point, his entire body wrapped in a black robe, and his feet stuck to the chain, not touching it. Eh? You're Ying Luo. Not only Yunxiao, but even the judge was taken aback as he looked at the figure. Yunxiao's face flickered, and he could no longer bother to interrogate Lu Zongzi. In a flash, he rushed forward while the 12 fortune wheels spun violently in his hands, letting out a terrible cry, which was the prelude to the killing. Although Lu Zongzi was shocked, he still laughed wildly. Haha, you can't kill me. Li Yunxiao. The next time we meet will be the day of your death. His face was filled with hatred and malevolence as he looked gloomily at the approaching sword. Man gave a muffled grunt as he thrust his hand forward. A powerful force spread out in the air, forming a barrier that blocked Yunxiao. What? Yunxiao was taken aback. The force was a combination of hardness and gentleness, and it made his body go soft when it pressed down on him, making him unable to exert any strength. An abnormal sense of danger grew in his heart. Not good. With a thought, Yunxiao turned around and was about to retreat when the invisible force suddenly became violent and exploded with a loud boom. The iron chains that filled the sky trembled and flickered nonstop. Runes appeared on the iron chains one after another, but they were not damaged. Man's eyes were filled with greed, but it was only for a moment. He knew that the Six Paths demonic weapon contained a strong karma that he could not touch. He raised his hand and made a grabbing motion toward the nebula. Lu Zongzi was immediately pulled up, and the two of them turned into a beam of light and shuttled through the iron chains that filled the sky. However, the two of them didn't immediately escape. Instead, they returned to the chariot and man personally drove it. With a shout, the 8 horses that were neither dragons nor horses immediately neighed and ran away. The war chariot rumbled forward, dragging the golden egg behind it as it turned into a golden streak of light, leaving a deep mark in the sky. Is it really good to ignore me like this? Man. His figure appeared thousands of feet away from the chariot. He moved his arms, and a powerful demonic light bloomed from his 5 fingers. It spread out behind him like thunder, turning into a pair of wings that filled the sky. Man Mo gave a muffled humph, and his eyes within the black robe flickered. He was only guessing his identity and did not have any evidence. As long as he did not admit it, even if they met again in the future, the other party would not be able to do anything. Moreover, as long as he obtained the ancient demon ape's egg, it would be a different scene when they met again in the future. Thinking of this, Man stood up from the chariot, raised his right hand, and clenched it into the simplest fist. Yunxiao had already put away Xianxia and was staring at Man and Lu Zongzi with a gloomy face. If even the judge could not stop them at this moment, all his previous efforts would be in vain. Almost all of the demons' gazes were fixed on the vast sky, and all the conflicts and battles came to an abrupt end. All of a sudden, a huge shadow slowly emerged behind Man. It had the appearance of an ape, and it was the manifestation of the ancient demon ape. However, the black gas in the shadow was constantly flowing and dispersing, so the true appearance could not be seen clearly. Only a pair of blood-red eyes were particularly clear, staring ahead with hostility. The shadow also raised its right fist, as if it had merged with Man. That's Ying Luo. The judge was shocked. His eyes were filled with cold light as he said, You actually destroyed that devil egg. The black-robed man's eyes flickered, and he remained expressionless. His raised fist was like a meteorite, leaving a long trail behind it as the chariot charged. The eyes of the 8 horses were filled with fear, but under Man's powerful threat, they still charged forward with all their might. Tisk! A cold expression appeared on Yi's face, and he flicked his fingers. Demonic light began to flow in the air, and countless tiny particles were contained within the demonic light, all of which exuded a violent aura. Fallen Star Seal. When the chariot was 1,000 feet away, The referee let out a roar and his hands formed a seal. The demonic light that filled the sky moved with a hua-hua sound and poured down along with the two palm seals. Man also moved at this moment, his right arm shook a little, then suddenly bombarding over, it was the most ordinary punch. Xianxia's eyes flickered. The punch was the Vajra fist of the heavenly martial realm. Perhaps there was no such thing as a fist force in the devil realm, but all the techniques were connected, and nothing could be excluded. Boom, boom, boom. The chariot finally entered the attack range of the falling star seal. The 8 horses were covered in a layer of demonic light. The chariot, the golden egg, and the demon barbarian seemed to have become one. Man's loud roar came from the black robe, and countless runic lights shot out from his body. The shadow of the ancient demon ape seemed to become solid in an instant, and its brutal eyes pierced through time and space to look over. Boom! As he punched out, infinite demonic light spread out, shaking the void within 1,000 miles. A large number of demons fled in panic. Some of the weaker ones were disintegrated on the spot, and screams of pain rang out. Xianxia's pupils suddenly dilated. He let 2 streams of blood flow down as he forcibly exercised his eye technique to see the entire process of the attack clearly. Then, his figure moved and became blurry until he disappeared. At the center of the attack, the fist and the chariot were one. It tore apart Yi's star light seal and collided with it. Yi's body trembled as he was forced back a few thousand feet. His face turned pale. In his shock and anger, he wanted to attack again, but his body only swayed slightly before he stopped. His most powerful attack just now had not been able to stop man's advance, so there was no point in attacking again. Man retracted his right arm, and the shadow of the devil ape behind him gradually disappeared in the air. Only then did he slowly sit down. However, in just a moment, a cold light burst out from the black robe again, and with a look of surprise, the huge face of the demonic ape emerged. In front of him, Xianxia clenched his fist, and terrifying sword chi kept blooming from his body. All the laws in the world stopped operating at that moment and condensed into a sword. It's the sword chi. He was shocked. That powerful sword essence was the one that had been revealed when he defeated Zhu. The difference was that it was the pillar that was triggered by itself, but now it was Xianxia who had condensed it. A large holy sword alternated between illusion and reality in Xianxia's palm, its light flickering as its powerful sword intent turned into circles of golden light and spread out. On the chariot, Lu Zongzi was finally scared. He said in a panic, "What's going on with that sword puppet? Even a saint artifact doesn't have such terrifying power." Man stood up with a whoosh, and his body made a pa-pa sound, as if it had expanded by a circle. He raised his hand again, and the devil ape behind him moved with it, seemingly even more ferocious. Not only that, on the huge golden egg that the chariot was dragging, hundreds of runes kept breaking apart, and a huge demon shadow could be vaguely seen moving in the egg. Xianxia's body was in great pain, and the power of his body's void light could not withstand the sword chi at all, causing a large number of blood vessels to burst. He suddenly clenched the holy sword and endured the pain of being cut by thousands of knives. He raised the sword and slashed forward. Boom! Heaven and earth were instantly split in half. Man let out a loud roar, and his fist force burst out, hitting the sword light. The entire chariot exploded, and the 8 horses that were neither dragons nor horses instantly turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Man's arm was instantly torn apart by the sword chi and exploded. The sword light was also hit by the impact and exploded with a bang, engulfing Lu Zongzi, who was beside him in shock. Swish! Lu Zongzi held the copper whip in one hand and watched in horror as his body was twisted into pieces, blood and flesh flying everywhere. "No, I don't want to die," he screamed in fear. At this moment, he only had half of his chest left. His eyes were full of despair, fear, and unwillingness. "My lord, save me. Lord man, save me." "No!" Lu Zongzi screamed. Man was his last hope. Man let out a muffled groan, and his eyes were also filled with fear. He looked at his lost arm, and low-level monsters kept coming out of the wound, and there were signs of degradation. His left hand grabbed at the wound and immediately sealed it. Then he grabbed Lu Zongzi and enveloped him in a layer of demonic light before he sped up and flew away. The huge golden demon ape egg followed behind. Many people only saw a stream of light shoot out from the war chariot after the sword struck. The gold and black colors were glued together, and they disappeared in the blink of an eye. Is he dead? Yunxiao felt dizzy, so he forced his eyes open. When the demonic light disappeared, his eyes were filled with worry. Lu Zongzi had been severely injured, and it was reasonable to say that he would not be able to survive such an injury. But that person was Lu Zongzi. His intuition told him that Lu Zongzi was definitely not dead and would definitely survive. Yunxiao felt as if a stone had been pressed on his heart, making it difficult for him to breathe. He was so depressed that he even forgot the pain in his body. He stood in the sky in a daze, covered in blood. He looked in the direction in which Lu Zongzi had disappeared, and no one knew what he was thinking. A ray of demonic light flickered and landed beside him. It was Yi. Her beautiful eyes looked at him with concern and asked in a low voice, "Lord Li, your injuries are terrible." "I'm fine." Yunxiao shook his head and said, "I'm fine." His mood was extremely low, and he didn't even want to speak. The referee read his mind and said, "Then Lord Li should have a good rest. These demons have lost their commander and are no longer a threat." Yunxiao looked a little lost as he nodded slightly. At this moment, everyone in the Kuan tribe was looking at him in horror. Although everyone could see that he was an arrow at the end of its flight after the sword strike, they still felt respect and fear in their hearts. The judge's face was also filled with horror, and then it turned gloomy and uncertain as he stared at Yunxiao with a complicated look. Although the sky was filled with people, it was completely silent. The demonic creatures modified by Lu Zongzi also stood in the sky in a daze because they had lost their leaders. After a while, the referee finally recovered from the shock of the sword. He glanced at the demonic creature in the sky and ordered, "Kill them all!" At this moment, the experts of the Kuan tribe in the Shooting Star City had arrived one after another. After the order was given, a monstrous killing intent suddenly surged. A large number of demonic shadows rushed toward the modified demonic creatures. The sky above the city suddenly turned into a terrifying battlefield. Demonic chi overflowed and golden crows concealed themselves. The sky also turned pitch black. Yunxiao was no longer in the mood to fight. He returned to the Shooting Star City with the judge, where the judge's tribe was stationed. Although the battle on the other side was intense, the outcome was already set in stone. It was only a matter of the number of casualties. Their journey was smooth, and almost all the experts were killing enemies in the sky. After returning to the Kuan tribe, Yunxiao went straight into seclusion to recuperate. However, a few hours later, his closed-door cultivation was forcibly interrupted by a force. He opened his eyes, but he didn't reveal any displeasure. Instead, he teleported to the living room in a flash. In addition to Yi and two other powerful demon lords also appeared in the hall at the same time. When Yi saw him, a complicated expression flashed across his face. He asked, "How is it?" "Yes," Yunxiao answered truthfully. "I'm seriously exhausted, and I can't recover in a short time. If Master who doesn't have anything important to say, I won't be accompanying you. There are a lot of important things, otherwise I wouldn't have come to you," Shang said. Frowning slightly, Yunxiao pulled over a chair and sat down, looking very eager to listen. The referee placed his hands behind his back and stared at him. He slowly said, "What was that metal chain you used in the previous battle?" Yunxiao knew that he was talking about the Fiend Essence Lock, and he knew that he could no longer hide it, so he simply said, "That lock is called the Devil Essence Lock. It can seal the power of Devil Essence." "What?" Yi and the other two demon lords and even Yi were all shocked. Although they had long guessed it, they were still shocked to hear Yunxiao admit it himself. "How long can it be sealed?" He asked in a deep voice. "Are there any restrictions?" "Of course, it will be a permanent seal," Yunxiao said. "As for the restrictions, of course, the higher the level of the devil, the lower the sealing power will be." The judge's mood seemed to be a little fluctuating. He paced back and forth in the hall, then waved his hand to signal the others to leave. The two demon lords who had come with him nodded and turned into demonic light to leave. The judge was stunned, and he looked at Xianxia with concern. It was not until Xianxia gave her a slight nod that she left the hall. She was originally under the command of the Vatican, and her behavior was obviously disrespecting the orders of the Vatican. However, the Vatican was not angry at all. After they left, he suddenly raised his hand and a demonic talisman flew out from his palm and into the surrounding space. Layers of light surrounded the area and flickered. Then he made a hand seal, and giant slave-like demonic creatures appeared around him. They separated into 4 corners and monitored the outside. After doing all that, the referee was a little relieved. He stared at Xianxia and asked, "Can the demonic vitality lock the holy demon?" Xianxia's heart stirred. Judging from the series of actions, he knew that the judge must have something important to ask, but he did not expect it to be this. After a moment of silence, he shook his head and said, "I haven't tried. I don't dare to speak arrogantly, but it still has a certain effect on the demon commander. In the battle of Xianxia Mountain, you must have seen it with your own eyes." He nodded. Yu's power is above us 8 honor demons, but he's still restricted by the chains. Although it's only for a short time, it's already fatal for a top-tier battle. "If we want to know if we can lock the holy demon," Xianxia said with a smile, "we can only try it with the holy demon." "Humph." He snorted coldly and said, "Where are we going to find a holy demon to experiment with? If we fail, you and I will not be able to live." Xianxia was extremely surprised when he heard that. There was a lot of information revealed in those words, so he asked tentatively, "Apart from Yuan, are there any other holy demons in the current demon world?" Richard looked at him with a playful look and said, "There's no harm in telling you, of course there are. However, the holy demon rarely paid attention to the matters of the demon world, so many people did not know about it. However, at our level, we know much more than ordinary people." "What?" Xianxia was surprised. "Will the holy demon interfere in the dispute between the heavenly martial realm and the devil realm? You can slowly think about this matter." Instead of answering directly, the referee changed the topic. "Then how many of these demonic essence locks do you have?" Xianxia smiled wryly and said, "How many more? There are only 2 of them in the entire realm of heavenly martial arts." "Is it very difficult to forge?" He frowned. "The alchemists of the realm of heavenly martial arts seem to be very powerful." "Too many materials are needed," Xianxia said, "and they are extremely rare. Moreover, it's extremely time-consuming and energy-consuming." "That's true," Shang nodded. "If it could be mass-produced, the devil world would have been finished long ago." "I see that your excellency seems to be very interested in this profound-level weapon," Xianxia said tentatively. Yi's expression changed slightly. He sneered. "Concealed devil essence. It can be said to be the nemesis of the devil world. How can I not be interested?" "Oh? That's all." Xianxia gave him a faint glance, obviously not believing him. "Whatever you say," the referee snorted. "I have one more thing to ask you. Why are you going to the ice domain?" Xianxia did not like it when people asked him about the truth, but when he thought of the super teleportation array, he held back his emotions and said, "I'm going to the ice domain to find something." "Looking for something?" As expected, it was just as I had guessed. I didn't expect that thing to attract the people of the realm of heavenly martial arts. However, even in the devil realm, it is extremely difficult to get that thing. The referee nodded with a look of sudden realization. "All heavenly materials and earthly treasures require luck," Xianxia said. "Treasures have their own spirit masters, and this is not the case in the Great Thousand Universe. Since you're so interested, you can give it a try. If you can get that thing, I want to make a deal with you." "What deal?" Xianxia was alarmed as he grunted and said, "Since I've obtained it through painstaking means, how can I take it out for a trade? I might consider it if you can offer me something of equal value." "Don't worry," he laughed. "Although I also covet that thing, if you can get it, your value to me will be even higher than that thing itself. It's just that it's not convenient for me to talk to you in detail right now." Xianxia found it strange. but he held back from asking, "All right, if I can obtain that item, I will return to the Shooting Star City to find you. However, I hope that Master who can help me in the ice domain." The referee said, "You're talking about the super teleportation formation, right? No problem. However, the teleportation costs a lot, so you have to pay for the mana stones yourself." "How many fiend energy stones?" Yun Xiao frowned. "How many?" "You have my support." Shroud smiled. "Don't worry. I'll settle the bill with her." Yun Xiao felt a little dizzy. Although he did not want to, he did not have a penny in the devil realm, and all his devil vitality stones were given by the judge. So there was no need to be polite at this time. "What are you going to do about Lu Zongzi and Man?" Yun Xiao asked. "What do you plan to do about them?" "What do you mean? What does their relationship have to do with me?" Shang asked in surprise. "You're really good at pretending, Lord Qi," Yun Xiao sneered. "If you had no other thoughts, you wouldn't have fought in the previous battle." "All right, even if I have an idea, Lu Zongzi's identity can be confirmed," the referee said. "But how could the other person be called Man?" "In fact, you and I both know that he is a barbarian," Yun Xiao said. "He is a barbarian." He laughed. "I know, but everything needs evidence. As long as Man doesn't admit it, I won't believe you." Yun Xiao nodded and said, "I see. It was no wonder that Man had to wear a black robe to hide her appearance in that kind of environment. The demon egg and the pillar seemed to have some other background, right?" The judge did not answer, but stared at Yun Xiao for a while, then suddenly laughed and said, "As expected of the Heavenly Martial Alliance's leader, his strength and wisdom are indeed not inferior. Zhu indeed has a great background. Even I can't afford to offend him. Man hid his identity because he was afraid of me, but he was more afraid of Zhu's background." Yun Xiao's eyes flickered with surprise as he said, "Even if he hid his identity, it's a fact that he took the demon egg. This is something that tens of millions of people saw. Don't forget that it was Lu Zongzi who took the devil egg, not Man," Bian said with a frown. "Lu Zongzi is of great value," Yun Xiao said. "Man will never let him die. As long as Zhu's background continues to investigate, Man and Lu Zongzi will not be able to escape. But you split Lu Zongzi in half with one strike under everyone's eyes," Shang said. "By then, you can say that Lu Zongzi is dead, or that you don't know about it at all." Yun Xiao looked at him coldly and said, "Darren is deliberately making things difficult for me?" In fact, Darren had already thought of what to do. "Don't forget, in this world, evidence isn't important. What's important is strength." "You're right. As long as the person behind the pillar believes it and is willing to help, it doesn't matter whether Man Cheng admits it or not," he said with a smile. Yun Xiao's heart stirred as he asked, "Is the person behind the pillar a holy demon?" The referee looked at him and smiled. "Young man, don't be so curious. As the saying goes, curiosity kills." "All right, I'm not really interested in these things," Yun Xiao said with a smile. "But if you have any news about Lu Zongzi, I hope you can tell me as soon as possible, my lord." "That will depend on your value to me," he said indifferently. "If you're someone of no value to me, I don't have the time to do that." Yun Xiao was taken aback, but then he said, "I understand. I'll try my best to get that thing and then try to break through to a higher realm. I hope you can keep a close eye on Lu Zongzi for me and wait for me to come back to take his dog life." The judge smiled and said in satisfaction, "I hope you can succeed." After he finished speaking, he removed the restriction he set in the hall and left. The battle at the city wall lasted for more than a day before the monsters left by Lu Zongzi were completely eliminated. Demonic clouds floated around the entire battlefield. Due to the death and decomposition of a large number of powerhouses, the density of demonic qi in the entire area was dozens of times thicker than in other places. For a time, it attracted many demons from all over the world. They all stayed in the battlefield to cultivate, and their speed increased by 1,000 miles. Half a month later, somewhere in the Shooting Star City on a vast land, all kinds of restrictions and formation lights were opened, and a large number of devils retreated to the sides to welcome Yi and the others. Yun Xiao followed behind the judge and was surprised by the strength of the defense around them. The demon's defense against the teleportation arrays was even far better than the defense of the city itself. But when he thought of the scarcity of the demon world's teleportation arrays, he felt relieved. Soon, a large array that covered an area of more than 10 mu appeared in front of him. It was naturally magnificent. Countless overlapping array wheels were slowly rotating, and there were demonic lights floating on them. It was like an aurora, dense and dazzling. Many devils were flying around inside, arranging many top-grade devil vitality stones to form the energy needed for the teleportation. Xianxia carefully studied the array. It was different from the teleportation arrays in the heavenly martial realm, and obviously more powerful. Xianxia could not help frowning as he said, "Does every teleportation have to be so troublesome?" Richard nodded. "I got them to start setting up half a month ago. It's almost done now. It's almost done." The judge's eyes dimmed, and he looked a little sad. He forced a smile and said, "Lord Li, be careful." "Yes." Xianxia nodded and said, "I will." The referee looked at the two of them and only smiled without saying a word. Soon, the super teleportation formation finished setting up the top-grade devil essence stones. A devil king flew over and reported, "Everything is in order. We can teleport now." Xianxia immediately said goodbye to the crowd and walked into the teleportation array. When he stood in the center of the teleportation array, he suddenly felt as if he was floating, as if some magical power was lifting him up. A large amount of devil chi gathered under his feet, forming a vortex. When Xianxia was about to leave the ground and flow faster and faster, the formation light around him suddenly rose and formed a pillar of light that shot into the sky. The people outside could only vaguely see the figure inside, which disappeared with the pillar of light in a flash. The strong light on the formation continued for a long time before it stopped. "Oh?" The judge suddenly laughed and said, "Have you fallen in love with Li Xianxia? What kind of joke is that, Master Yi?" Shang's delicate body trembled slightly and she smiled bitterly. The referee held his chin and said softly, "But it's indeed a little strange. If you really like him, would you be together? After all, the body structure and other aspects are completely different. Can yin and yang be combined?" The referee was stunned for a moment, and then his cheeks flushed red. He said angrily, "What nonsense is my lord spouting? Hee. Then I won't say any more." The referee put away his teasing expression, glanced at her and changed the topic. "Don't be too sad. Maybe we'll see each other again soon." "My lord, are you saying that he has found the sacred ice jade?" Xianxia asked. He nodded. The sacred ice jade is one of the few sacred items in the demon realm that can help one break through to the saint demon realm. Many demon lords have been eyeing it, but no one has ever managed to get it. As Xianxia said, the treasure has its own spirit master, and it needs an opportunity. The judge smiled wryly. Obviously, he did not have much hope in Xianxia's chances of obtaining the holy ice jade. "He's a man with great fortune, so there's no need to worry about him," said Yi with a smile. "As for you, the cost of this super teleportation formation is too high." The referee nodded repeatedly and said, "Don't worry, my lord. The referee division definitely can't afford this. I can only risk my life to make up for it for Darren." "Hee. I've given you Lu Congzi's jade slip," Tong Yi said with a smile. "Study it well, and you'll be the best alchemist in my tribe in the future." "I'll try my best," Louis nodded. "I'm also very interested in those things." Thinking of the information in the jade slip, the referee's eyes could not help but light up. More than a month later, in a desolate land in the demon realm. The temperature here was scorching hot, and the ground was made of rock slabs. There was not a single blade of grass growing in the surroundings, only a few huge withered trees that seemed to be unable to withstand the high temperature and had self-ignited. In this scorching heat, a dozen or so robed demons and a few devilish birds were trapped in a large cloud of black chi. The robes of the demons were already torn, revealing their red skin. They looked rather weak, and the demon birds and magical beasts seemed to be exhausted. He stood in front of his master and spewed out hot flames from his mouth, cooperating with his master to deal with the black mist. The demonic chi emitted a large amount of buzzing sounds. If one looked carefully, they would find that the demonic chi was actually a kind of demonic insect. Those demon insects had flat and long bodies, black and shiny wings, and their mouths were like pincers, so they were also called demon hook insects. Although the devils were constantly attacking, the black gas formed by the devil hook worms did not decrease at all. The buzzing sound became even louder as it madly bit at the demonic chi barrier that the few of them were protecting. Seeing the battle circle continuously shrinking, these people were about to be unable to hold on any longer. I didn't expect to encounter devil hook bugs on this trip. Ah Mao. Quickly send out the signal for help, a slightly stronger demon hurriedly said. The battle circle in front of them was shrinking, and everyone's faces were filled with anxiety and fear. One of the demon race men behind him immediately took out a golden token, cast a few incantation seals on it, and threw it into the air. The golden light flashed and shot out a few 100 feet high before it was covered by a mass of demonic clouds. It was completely swallowed and disappeared. Everyone's faces turned ashen. How did this happen? The leader of the demon race clansmen panicked, and the devil hook insects' attacks became even fiercer. A few of the magic beasts had already been devoured by a large number of devil hook insects, as if they had never existed. This won't do. I'll definitely die if this continues. Let's work together to open up a passage, then split up and run as far as we can. Maybe one or two of us can survive. Amao shouted. The veins on his forehead were bulging. He was very anxious. All right, that's the only way left. The leader gritted his teeth. The other demons all turned pale. They were too weak, so their chances of survival were too low. Suddenly, a demon cried out in alarm. Quickly look! Someone's coming. Everyone hurriedly raised their heads and looked up at the sky. Under the blazing sun, a black-purple array disk appeared out of thin air and rotated. The demonic light it emitted could illuminate thousands of miles, and demonic chi spread out. When the powerful aura exploded, a black figure could be seen standing on it with his back facing the sun. It had only been a few breaths since the formation will appeared, and it suddenly broke into pieces as if it couldn't hold on any longer. As the demonic light disappeared into the void, the figure lost its support and shot down at an extremely fast speed. Due to the huge impact, the black figure fell directly to the ground before stabilizing himself. My lord, save me! These demon race people didn't care who this newcomer was, all of them shouting desperately, their voices filled with anxiety and surprise. The newcomer raised his head and looked at the sky with a frown. He then looked at the ground and the surroundings. His expression immediately turned ugly as he muttered to himself, "Why is the temperature so high? Did the teleportation go wrong?" This man was Xianxia. He had spent more than a month in the space tunnel and finally came out. But the environment here was completely opposite to ice. Even with his strong body, he could feel the scorching temperature. Save me, my lord. We're from the Gold Tribe of Yuan County. As long as you save us, the tribe will definitely reward you handsomely. The demon race people shouted anxiously, completely seeing him as a life-saving straw. We have no less than 1,000 cubic meters of top-grade demonic energy stones on us. The leader shouted, as long as you're willing to help us, these demonic energy stones will all be yours. Otherwise, if they get stuck to these devil hook bugs, they'll all be useless. Yuan County? Yunxiao's face lit up with joy. At the same time, he observed the devil hook worms for a moment before he flew over and stopped about 1,000 feet away. You are all from Yuan County? How far is this place from Yuan County? Those people immediately understood what was going on. Amao said hurriedly, Sir, please save us. We will bring you to Yuan County and we will reward you handsomely. All right, Yunxiao said without thinking. He grabbed at the air and the world of the proud smile landed in his hand. It expanded in the wind and turned into a banana fan. As if sensing the danger, some of the devil hook bugs separated from the group and flew toward Yunxiao. Yunxiao raised his hand and waved it. Immediately, a strong wind blew, and a terrifying force swept out. The devil hookworms were instantly blown up by the power of wind and fire. Bang, bang, bang. Sounds of explosions rang out continuously. When the demon race people saw him take action, they were overjoyed, especially after a portion of the devil hookworms were diverted. They immediately felt the pressure on them greatly reduced. But, with just a wave of his fan, Xianxia had killed all the bugs, which left them dumbfounded. Before he could react, he felt a force descend on his side. It was Xianxia who had teleported over. With a wave of his hand, the proud smile pushed out a violent force in all directions. Bang! 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 With a series of explosions, the devil hookworms didn't even have the chance to escape. They were all crushed into powder and turned into the purest devil chi. This buy-in. The demons were stunned on the spot and couldn't react at all. The change between life and death was too fast. Take me to Yuan County. Xianxia put away his fan and said, Take me to Yuan County. Only then did those devils react. Each and every one of them hurriedly bowed down, repeatedly expressing their thanks. The leader said hurriedly, My lord, this must be your first time in Yuan County. We are about to go back. Please follow us. It's indeed my first time here, Xianxia said. Lead the way, and tell me some common knowledge about Yuan County. Yes, just now, this person's first move had made them feel intimidated. The demon lords naturally did not dare to disobey and immediately led the way. Along the way, the leader told him some things about Yuan County, and Xianxia would cut in from time to time and ask him some questions. From time to time, they would encounter some powerful demons on the way, but they were easily destroyed by Xianxia. These demons were even more shocked. They had some guesses about Xianxia's strength, but they could not be sure. After a short while, Xianxia had a general understanding of the basic situation in Yuan County. He suddenly asked, Have you guys heard of the Qilin Demon Bone? Qilin Demon Bone? The demons were all stunned. The commander immediately laughed and said, Sir, did you come to Yuan County for the demon bone of transforming Qilin? Xianxia could tell that something was wrong from their looks, so he said calmly, What's wrong? No, of course not. The commander saw that he seemed to be a little unhappy and jumped in fright. He hurriedly shook his head and waved his hand, saying, The demon bone of transforming Qilin is indeed a specialty of Yuan County. I forgot to mention that you are here to purchase this item. Purchase? What? Xianxia was taken aback. Do you have a lot of Qilin demon bones? Lord, do you know how this Qilin demon bone is formed? The commander asked with a smile. Xianxia frowned, and he seemed to be a little angry. The commander's face turned pale. He didn't dare to keep them in suspense any longer and hurriedly said, The transforming Qilin demon bone is actually the remains of a powerful demon after its death. Why? Xianxia frowned and said, Don't they all turn into pure devil chi after death? How can it be condensed into an object? He suddenly thought of something and said, Could it be similar to the demon eye jade? Demon jade. The rest of the demons were all confused, as if they didn't understand what it was. Only Mao's expression changed. My lord, you're not here for Mo are you? Xianxia's eyes flickered as he asked, Could it be that Yuan County has devil flame jade? The rest of the people looked at him strangely, not knowing what the demon eye jade was and how he knew about it. Mao shook his head. My lord, you must be joking. How can someone of my level know if such a sacred object exists? Only then did Xianxia's face regain its calm. What Mao said did make sense. Mao, what's a demon pearl jade? The commander frowned. Mao then explained to them, I also happened to hear it when I was listening to the patriarch and the others chatting. Although this matter isn't a secret, I've never mentioned it to anyone. The dozen or so people were all extremely shocked. They didn't think that such a sacred object existed in this world. The commander said, If that's the case, then the transforming Qilin demon bone is indeed somewhat similar to the demon armor jade. However, I've never seen the demon armor jade before. I'm not too sure about the details. However, the Qilin demon bone could only be produced in the ice region and almost all of them were in Yuan County. When we came out to collect materials, we also happened to obtain one. What? You guys have it on you? Yun Xiao was completely taken aback, and his eyes widened. Mo Qing had said that this item could increase the chances of advancing to Blessed Realm. Could it be that she had lied to him and Wei Qing? What was Demon Phoenix's purpose in doing this? Just as he was letting his thoughts run wild, the commander took out an item from his storage bag and held it in his palm. It was a white piece of bone, but there were some tiny potholes on the surface, just like a dolphin's bone. Its color also looked a little dull, and a faint demonic chi swirled around it. Yun Xiao's face immediately darkened. If this thing was the devil bone of Qilin, then he and Wei Qing had been deceived. The energy contained in this thing in front of him was definitely not more than that of a 10-directional brutal fiend. Even if he ate it all and digested it 100%, it would definitely not bring a tiny bit of improvement to his cultivation. The commander sensed Yun Xiao's emotions, and he could not help but be afraid. Your Excellency. Yun Xiao's face was dark as he said, "This is the Qilin fiend bone? Are you sure you're not lying to me? If you lie to me, you should know the consequences." "I wouldn't dare lie to you, my lord," the commander said, trembling. "However, this is a relatively low-level Qilin demon bone, so it might not be worthy of your attention." "Degree? What do you mean by degree? Could it be that there are different grades to this item?" "That's right." The commander nodded hastily. The demon bone was also determined by the level of the demon before death, the state of death, the time it was formed in the earth, the environment, and other factors. The one in my hand is of a relatively low grade. It should have been condensed by a half-step demon lord, and it shouldn't have been formed too long ago. Yun Xiao breathed a sigh of relief and said, "So that's how it is. Then the highest grade of the Qilin demon bone should be transformed by the demon venerable." "It should be," the commander replied. However, this was only a small guess because he had never seen it before. In addition to the main body of the Qilin demon bone, the environment and time it took to form are also very important. "The longer the better," Yun Xiao said. "What kind of environment do you need?" The commander said, "Indeed, the longer the better. In the entire ice region, especially in the region of Yuan County, there is a mysterious sacred object. It's called Sacred Ice Jade. This item was invisible and only existed in legends. However, there was indeed a strong power of the Sacred Ice Jade in the entire Yuan County. Only by being contaminated with this power can a demon form a Qilin demon bone after death." "Holy Ice Jade? Legend?" "Since there's such a saying and there's really a Qilin demon bone," Yun Xiao said thoughtfully, "I guess someone has obtained the Sacred Ice Jade before, right? This I don't know, but there are indeed many rumors. There was even a powerful devil lord who came to Yuan County to fight for the Sacred Ice Jade. But I've never heard of anyone who has obtained it." The commander explained. "I think I get it," Yun Xiao said. "I think I understand. What should I do if I want to find the best Qilin demon bone?" The best Kasaya, the 10 people all fell silent. Mao said, "I should go to the Buddha corridor or find the 3 aristocratic families in Yuan County. Maybe there will be some." When the rest of the people heard the words Buddha corridor, their expressions changed drastically. "What's going on with this Buddha corridor?" Yun Xiao asked. "Which 3 great clans are they?" This time, without waiting for Mao to reply, the commander said, "The Buddha corridor is the most dangerous place in Yuan County. However, there are indeed a large number of demon bones of transforming Qilin in there, and they are of a very high level. It was indeed possible to find a demon supreme level Qilin demon bone. As for the 3 great clans, they are the Gua, Nie, and Fei great clans." "How strong are the 3 great clans?" Yun Xiao asked. "Are there any demon lords?" "I don't think so, but the clan leaders of the 3 great clans are not far from the demon lord realm." The commander shook his head. "I heard from the chief that Sir Fei of the Flying Division is trying to break through to the demon lord realm," Mao suddenly said. "Oh? There's actually such a thing?" The commander and the rest of the devils were shocked. The commander said, "It's been more than 100,000 years since Yuan County has seen a powerful demon lord. If Master Fei can succeed, it will be of great benefit to the entire Yuan County." "Fei?" Yun Xiao thought for a moment and asked, Is Fei the strongest among the 3 tribe chiefs? That's right. Mao nodded. Even if Master Fei didn't succeed in becoming a demon commander, he should still be the strongest one. Good. Yunxiao nodded and said, after we enter Yuan County, take me to this Master Fei. Everyone was taken aback, but judging from Yunxiao's calm look, he did not seem to be spouting nonsense. They were all secretly surprised, but they did not dare to disobey him. Moreover, the demon realm was so vast that it was immeasurable. Perhaps it was a top expert who had popped out from somewhere. After all, Yuan County's demon bone of transforming Qilin was well known. It was normal for it to attract some experts from time to time. Several days later, the group arrived at Yuan County. The place where Yunxiao was teleported to was a little far from Yuan County. If he had not encountered these devils, he would not have been able to find his way. Under the scorching sun, the city of Yuan County looked just as majestic. The city walls were made of a special kind of green stone. Not only were the stones scorching hot under the sun, but they were also covered with red cracks, as if they were flowing. The heat flow twisted the air. Some of the demonic qi touched the city wall and was burned into nothingness. It was not hard to imagine what would happen to a low-level demon if it was stuck on the wall. After entering the city, Yunxiao looked around carefully. Compared to Shooting Star City, the buildings here were not as dense, and most of them were low flat-roofed houses. He could clearly see 3 castles with pointed roofs. Just as they passed the outskirts of the city, the demons stopped at a fork. The commander said awkwardly, "Sir, if you want to go to the flying department, I have a pointer here that can lead you there, but we can't go there." "Why?" Yunxiao asked curiously. "There are many factions in Yuan County," the commander said awkwardly. "Our Gold tribe is under the control of the Kuan tribe. If we rashly enter the territory of the Flying tribe, although we won't be killed, we will cause great trouble. If my lord wants to find the Flying division to purchase high-grade Qilin demon bones, you can go to their marketplace and ask." "A trading market?" Yunxiao asked. "So that's how it is. Then I'll go by myself." These people were not very strong, and Yunxiao knew that they would not be of much use. So he took the needle and let them leave. The pointer was almost identical to the structure of the heavenly martial realm. Yunxiao followed the direction and arrived at a trading area half a day later. There were not as many people here as there were in Shooting Star City. There were only a few people here. There were strong men with 2 horns on their heads and weak young men with wings on their backs. There were ugly and fierce-looking slaves, and there were also evil and bewitching women. The main division was covered in red scales, wearing robes. As Yunxiao walked, he carefully looked at the shops and stalls around him. Compared to the exchange of supplies in Shooting Star City, the liveliness was as high as the sky and as low as the earth. Soon he stopped in front of a large store. There was a flag in front of the store with a huge fly character. The fly word was written with a strong brush, and the baleful aura was faintly visible. It had the momentum of splashing ink on the mountains and rivers, and was obviously not the work of ordinary people. Yunxiao immediately lifted the curtain and stepped in. The space inside was quite large, and the air was quite cool. The shelves were lined up in an orderly manner, and many demons were walking among them, looking and choosing. On each display stand, some heavenly treasures were placed. They were divided into different categories and were marked with various labels. Sky Stone, 3 million years old, 97% purity. Selling price 600 top-grade mana stones. Demonic Dragon Horn, 5 million years old, purity 95%. Selling price 750 top-quality demonic origin stones. Judging from the price, these materials should be very precious, but unfortunately, Yunxiao did not recognize them. He even had the impulse to buy all of them and take them back to study them one by one. Suddenly, he had an idea. He saw the words "Transforming Qilin Demon Bone" written on a stand in front of him. There seemed to be a lot of good Qilin demon bones on the display stands behind them. Moreover, there were more than 20 demon monarchs carefully looking at them. He quickly walked over. On the first display case hung a wooden sign that said, 60,000-year Qilin demon bone. The original body is a first-grade demon monarch. The purity of the bone is 47%. The selling price is 3,500 top-grade demon origin stones. Xianxia's face flickered, and he could not help but be surprised. He knew the value of supreme-grade fiend vitality stones. A mere first-grade demon monarch's transforming Qilin demon bone cost more than 3,000 top-grade primordial stones. If it was a demon supreme's bone, who knew how sky-high the price would be? His gaze shifted to the display stand behind him. 97,000-year-old Qilin demon bone. The original body is a first-grade demon monarch. The purity of the bone is 63%. The selling price is 4,900 top-grade demon origin stones. He looked all the way, and sure enough, the further down the list, the higher the value. When he walked to the last display stand, it was written, 320,000-year Qilin demon bone. The original body is a purple sky silk. The purity of the bone is 83%. The selling price is 70,000 top-grade demon origin stones. 70,000! Xianxia's eyelids twitched violently. Even the entire Kuan clan might not be able to produce so many supreme-grade fiend vitality stones. Besides him, there were two other demon lords looking at the last display case. Their eyes were shining as they stared at the demon bone of transforming Qilin and licked their lips from time to time. At first glance, it was obvious that he was the kind of person who was extremely eager but couldn't afford it. He had no backbone and looked poor. "What are you looking at?" One of the demon lords noticed that Xianxia was staring at him. He drooled and raised his head to glare at him. "I'm sorry for being rude," Xianxia said hurriedly. "I only saw that your excellency had been staring at this bone for more than an hour. That unblinking look of yours is definitely not something that ordinary people can do, so I couldn't help but admire it." "More than an hour?" the demon lord said angrily. "You're monitoring me." "I dare not," Xianxia said, waving his hand. "I dare not." The other demon lord also raised his head and said to the two, "You two also like this Qilin demon bone?" In the beginning, the demon lord snorted and said, "Do you still need to say that? It's a 320,000-year-old purple sky silk with a purity of 83%. Who wouldn't want it?" The demon lord also nodded lightly. "It's a pity that the price is so high." The previous demon lord sneered. "Don't be so insatiable. This must be the demon bone of a juvenile purple sky ho. If it's an adult purple sky ho, it's very likely to be a demon venerable, and it wouldn't be put on display for sale." "Why can't they be put out for sale?" Xianxia asked. The two demon lords looked at him as if they were looking at an idiot. The demon lord behind him laughed and said, "Do you know what the demon bone of a demon supreme means?" Xianxia put on a humble look and said, "My lords, please enlighten me." The demon lord said, "Not only does it mean a large amount of demonic qi, but it also means that you have the heavenly Tao comprehension of the demon supreme realm, which is enough to increase the chances of stepping into the demon supreme realm. Can such an item be bought with top-grade mana stones?" As expected, Xianxia's heart trembled slightly. The demon bone of transforming Qilin that Mo Qing mentioned should be referring to the demon lord realm. Then, he asked carefully, "I wonder if there's a demon bone of the demon commander realm in Yuan County?" The two demon lords exchanged a glance and chuckled. "What are you two laughing about?" Xianxia asked. The demon lord from before sneered. "I advise you to stop dreaming. If there really is one, it's at the level of a sacred artifact. It was impossible for the three great clans to sell it, otherwise it would be a bloody storm. Even if you wanted to find out, you definitely wouldn't be able to find out. This Qilin demon bone of the purple Tiangang is the highest grade you can buy. So that's how it is, I've learned." Xianxia had already guessed it, but he still pretended to be serious. The two demon lords saw that he was so low-key and didn't have the slightest bit of overbearing arrogance, so they couldn't help but have a good chat with him, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. It was only then that Xianxia learned that the two devil lords were called Luo and Mo, and they did not belong to any force. They had been devouring ordinary fiends for countless years. Even among those of the same rank, this kind of primitive demon race was much stronger than the descendants of the demon race. Because he had experienced too many battles and hardships over the countless years, He was far superior to the descendants of the demon race in both will and methods. Oh, Luo suddenly suggested. Since the three of us like this bone so much, why don't we work together to buy it? Mo's eyes also lit up, but then they dimmed again. He smiled bitterly and said, even if the three of us work together, we can't afford it. Yunxiao nodded as well. He felt that the price was too expensive to bear. He only had the top-grade Devil Essence Stones that Yi had given him earlier. He had used a few hundred at the resource exchange meet, so he had more than 9,000 left. He had also saved a Mao and the other party had given him 1,000 as compensation. Now he had more than 10,000. 70,000 was an astronomical number to him. If I can't afford it, Luo said, I'm afraid someone else will buy it soon. It'll be too late for me to regret it then. Do the two of you have anything valuable on you? In addition to selling items, this flying shop also buys all sorts of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Ink frowned and fell into deep thought, as if he was estimating the value of the items he had on him. If it's a treasure, I can get about 30,000 supreme-grade Devil Essence Stones, Luo said. You two can each get 20,000. Any questions? Yunxiao was surprised. Luo looked ordinary, but he had great strength. He did not expect him to be so rich. I'll think about it, Mo said hesitantly. He seemed to be able to come up with something worth 20,000 high-grade Devil Essence Stones, but he was still uncertain. Luo nodded, then turned to Yunxiao and said, Where is this friend? I think we should be able to gather 20,000, Yunxiao said. But, forgive me for being oversensitive. If the three of us work together to buy this Qilin Fiend bone, how should we distribute it? I'm afraid that I'll end up benefiting others in vain. Brother Li, you're so humble, Luo said with a smile. In my opinion, you're no less terrifying than Brother Mo. Yunxiao was shocked, but he kept his face calm and said with a smile, Let's discuss the distribution plan first. Luo Xiao said, It's simple. This bone is so big. Why don't we just split it according to the amount of mana stones each person has to pay? Mo nodded in agreement. That's right. Although splitting it up will damage the value of the bone, this is the only way to convince everyone. It's also a good deal. All right. Yunxiao nodded. Since that's the case, I naturally have no objection. Although the demon bone in front of him wouldn't be of much help to his cultivation, it was still good to be able to come into contact with it in advance and understand more about the demon bone. At the same time, in a luxurious room in the inner pavilion of the shop. The room was surrounded by gauze curtains, and the table, chair, and bed were all emitting a cool breeze. It was very extraordinary, and even the decorations were all kinds of treasures and strange stones, which were rare in the outside world. A purple gold incense burner was placed on the table in the middle. A woman was sitting quietly in front of the incense burner. The woman was also a rare beauty. Her eyebrows were like a painting, her red lips were moving, her limbs were slender, and her figure was graceful. She calmly sipped a cup of fragrant tea, as if she was waiting for something. Miss, the thing is here. In front of the woman, a burly and ugly demon Lord Song Yen respectfully ordered a servant to bring a long jade box. He raised his hands above his head and knelt in front of the woman. Yao Yao's jade-like hand gently touched the long jade box and her expression changed slightly, as if she was trying to sense what was inside. When he retracted his hand, he couldn't help but look happy. So it's this item. It has an unbelievably powerful aura. Lord Yen, thank you for your hard work. That's what I should do, the demon lord said with a smile. Yao gently shook her head and said, For so many years, it has always been General Dian who has been taking care of the tribe's business. It has made our flying tribe earn a lot of money every day and develop to the scale we have today. When I return, I will definitely speak to my father and take credit for my lord. Thank you, young lady. Dian was ecstatic. Yao nodded. Master Dian is busy with various matters. If there is nothing else, I will go back first. A maidservant behind her immediately stepped forward and put away the long jade box. Miss Zhenzhen. Dian suddenly hesitated. He looked like he wanted to say something but stopped. She raised her eyebrows and said, If you have something to say, say it. If I were to transfer you back to the tribe in the future, you would definitely be my trusted aide. I hate people who talk like that. Yes, yes. Diane's heart panicked and he hurriedly said, we still have a Chilan demon bone of a purple sky toad, but it's a juvenile purple sky toad. It's 320,000 years old and has a bone purity of 82%. Would you like it, miss? A young purple Tiangang? 320,000 years old. Yao was stunned for a moment, and her expression became a little strange. What's the relationship between that purple Tiangang and this one? It's actually the same year. According to my speculation, these two purple Tiangang should be mother and son. I don't know why they both died in the Buddha corridor, Dian said with a smile. Mother and son? Yao was stunned for a moment before she muttered, in that case, bring it over. Since I'm going to consume them anyway, I'll just let the mother and son reunite so that they won't be separated for more than 300,000 years after their death. Young Miss is truly kind and compassionate. This subordinate admires you greatly, Dian hurriedly said. The maidservant behind Yao couldn't bear to hear such a clumsy compliment. She frowned and said, hurry up and get it. Don't talk nonsense. Our miss is still busy. Yes, yes. Dian hurriedly replied and whispered a few words into the ear of the demon beside him. The demon then ran out. Yao's expression seemed to be very happy, and her eyes glowed slightly. I didn't expect there to be a Chilan demon bone of a purple sky toad's cub. The information I received didn't mention it. The messenger was useless. I'll replace him when I return. Lord Dian, you did the right thing this time. Now that I think about it, this young Chilan demon bone will be of great use to me. Dian Xian was in full bloom. He grinned and said, this subordinate is working for the young lady. I will do my best. The maidservant seemed to be jealous of Yao's favor, and her face darkened. She immediately tried to please Yao. This is the lady's luck. It just so happens that she'll consume this young one first, then the big one. She'll definitely be able to rush to the demon commander realm and achieve what she wants. Even the heavens are helping Miss. The expressions of the people around changed slightly. After all, the term demon commander was too sensitive and shocking, and it could easily trigger people's nerves. That law was also stunned for a moment, asking suspiciously, it hasn't been long since young Miss broke through to the second-grade demon lord, right? I remember that I fused with the rainbow stone a few years ago. Could it be that I've already cultivated to the peak? Oh my. Miss is really the #1 genius of Yuan County since the ancient times. Diane's face was filled with shock as he spoke in a flattering manner. Her beautiful brows slightly furrowed as she shook her head. I haven't reached the peak of the demon lord level yet. It's just that an opportunity suddenly descended and I'm in urgent need of improving my strength. That's why I need a high-quality Chilan demon bone. Otherwise, he would have to save it for the peak of the demon lord. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but it's all up to heaven's will. What's wrong? Could something big have happened? You actually want young Miss to use the Chilan demon bone in advance. Although the transforming Chilan demon bone is good, its effects gradually decrease after each consumption. Although you can still absorb the demonic chi within, your comprehension of the laws is much worse. Unless it's an important matter, it's not wise to take it early. How could I not know that? Yao sighed. However, my father also knows about this and has given his permission. Since the chief has given his permission, it must be something big. Dian was shocked. While they were talking, the demon who had run down ran back, sweating and hurriedly said, Lord Dian, not good. We have encountered trouble. What are you panicking for? Calm down. Diane's face darkened. Young Miss is watching. Don't embarrass me. Yes, yes. The demon wiped the sweat from his forehead and finally calmed down. Tell me now. Didn't I tell you to go get the demon bone? Did you run into some trouble? There were 3 customers who said they wanted to buy the bone. After we said we wouldn't sell it, they refused to let us off and insisted on buying it. The demon said hurriedly. What a joke! What a big joke! Dian De angrily said. This bone belongs to our flying division. If we want to sell it, then we will sell it. If we don't want to sell it, then we won't sell it. Who is so audacious to be so persistent? Hurry up and go. Just say that you're not selling it. If the three of them want to cause trouble, then we'll capture them and send them to the Buddha corridor as materials. After tens of thousands of years, they'll have passed away into Chilan demon bones. This Bayan, the demon stammered. The strength of those three demon lords seems to be extraordinary. The maidservant sneered. Hehe. Lord Dian is really running the shop in an orderly manner. They even bullied our flying department's front. What's the difference between this and slapping us directly? As the saying goes, a woman's heart is the most vicious. With the servant girl's ridicule, Diane's face suddenly turned red and swelled like an eggplant. Looking at Yao's indifferent and unconcerned appearance, his heart immediately sank. Afraid that the good impression he had just gained would disappear, he immediately slapped the demon lord away and roared, "What do you mean by outstanding? No matter how outstanding he is, he wouldn't dare to behave atrociously in front of my flight department. All of you, follow me." After saying that, Dian led the experts out of the room and went to the store with killing intent. At that moment, a large number of demon lords had gathered in the shop, all of them huddled around the booth, surrounding Yunxiao and the other two. The rest of the people in the shop were also evacuated to avoid being involved. Ro sneered. "Since you're here to do business, you should be reasonable and not use your fists, right? If we talk about fists, then who would come to the flying department to do business?" A tall and thin demon monarch in the shop said, "Our shop owner has just issued an order that this Chilan demon bone is not for sale. There's no need to make things difficult for you three. Since you know that you have the freedom to buy and sell, how can you force the purchase?" Ro's eyes widened in anger. "If you're not selling it, why did you release it? And the price is clearly written on it. Are you deliberately playing with us? I've been looking at this Chilan demon bone for 3 days and I'm about to buy it now. And you're telling me you're not selling it? Who are you trying to fool?" Mo also nodded. "Justice is in everyone's heart. Everyone, please be the judge." The demons gathered at the gate also began to whisper. The scene became noisy, and everyone expressed their own opinions. "That's right. I've been looking at that Chilan demon bone for a few days, but I don't have the money to buy it. Now that someone wants to buy it, they're actually not selling it. Turns out that they've only taken it out to look at it before. Hee, the flying shop is bullying its customers, and they're bullying you. What can you do? Do you dare to be unhappy? It seems that these 3 kids are out of their minds. They dare to cause trouble in the flying division even if they don't dare to touch them in broad daylight. As long as we leave this shop, we'll be finished. It can't be that black, right? Although the strong are respected, this business still has to be fair. Otherwise, who would do business?" All sorts of discussions could be heard, and everyone in the flight division had ugly expressions. After all, their tribe was powerful, so it was inevitable that people would feel that they were bullying their customers. Therefore, most of the discussions were biased toward the 3 of them. Who dares to say that our shop is bullying our customers? Suddenly, a stern voice rang out from within the hall. Everyone turned to look and saw Dian Zhang striding over with a large group of experts. "It's you 3 who are causing trouble." He walked into the shop and stared at the 3 people with a murderous look. He had thought that with his arrogance, the other party would be afraid of him, or at least become timid and would not dare to make a fuss. But his estimation was completely wrong. Yunxiao and the other 2 looked indifferent, without any fear on their faces. Instead, all of them had a sneer on their lips, as if they were very disdainful. Dian stared blankly for a moment. He had been in the business for many years and naturally had a certain eye for things. He immediately relaxed his breathing and changed his tone. He calmly said, "You 3 are causing trouble?" "We're not the ones making trouble," Luo sneered. "It's your flight department." Dian was silent for a moment and said, "This Chilan demon bone can't be sold anymore. I hope you 3 can give this old man some face. This old man can let you 3 choose another one and give you a great discount." After a short moment of impulse, Dian immediately returned to his mature and steady personality. If he didn't have experience in dealing with people, he wouldn't have been able to hold this position for so many years. Mo nodded and said, Since the Lord in charge has said so, we can't be completely ungrateful. As long as Darren can take out a Chilan demon bone from the demon monarch's peak, we will painfully part with this purple Tiangang. The true body of a peak stage demon lord. Bayan. Dian was a little angry and said, "Do the three of you think that this thing is from a street stall? It required a great opportunity. Our store was only able to obtain it by luck, and if there really is such a sacred artifact, there is no way to give a discount." "So, my lord, you mean to say that we're just farts?" Emmeling asked coldly. "I can give the three of you an appropriate discount for the other bones on this booth." Diane's face turned unsightly. "After all, this old man's rights are limited, and I can't give you any big discount." Luo Huan laughed. "I thought you were the person in charge. I didn't expect you to have limited authority. Then, let your boss who has full authority come out." "Haha! The boss with full authority." Dian was so angry that he laughed and scolded. "If you really see that lord, I'm afraid the three of you would be kneeling on the ground and confessing your sins." There was a burst of laughter around them. Many people whispered, "Isn't the boss with full authority the strongest person in Yuan County? Lord Fei? Hee hee. These three kids are getting more and more suicidal. The people of the ancient times don't bully one's own sins. Are these three people out of their minds, or are they here to find trouble?" Luo said coldly, "You don't have to predict what the three of us will do. Just call out the one who can make the decision. We don't have the time to talk to a minion." "Impudent! You dare to call me a minion?" Dian was instantly furious. He shouted, "I have been in the flying tribe for more than 30,000 years and have been in charge of this shop for 8,000 years. Everyone in Yuan County calls me Lord Dian when they see me. How dare you call me minion? You're just taking advantage of your age." Aro laughed. "Besides, in my opinion, you've been living like a dog. You can't make decisions, and you don't even admit that you're a minion." Dian coldly said, "The three of you are so arrogant." "Good, very good. If you have the guts, first report your name and identity so this old man can revere you." Ro waved his hand. "You don't have the right to know our names. You just need to sell us the demon bone of transforming Chilan from the purple Tiangang. That's all you need to do now." "I'm not selling. Are you going to forcefully buy something that belongs to my flying department?" Dian angrily said. "That would be the biggest joke in the world." Luo Huan laughed. "Forced? Open your eyes and look clearly. Everyone is watching. You were the ones who put it up for sale. Now that we want to buy it, you actually say that you're not selling it? Where is the justice?" "That's right. He clearly released it to sell. Now he suddenly reneged. Isn't this too much of a bully?" Many people in front of the door were quite critical. After all, they were all customers, and maybe one day this matter would fall on them, so everyone still stood on the side of the three people. "Humph, even if you really want to sell it, have the three of you paid for it? If you didn't pay, the deal wouldn't exist, so how could justice not exist?" "I'm going to announce that someone has just offered to buy this bone," Dian coldly said. "I'm really sorry for the customer who paid before you three." Luo Yi was stunned. He frowned and said, "I don't believe it. This thing is worth 70,000 high-quality devil essence stones. Who can take out so much money at once? Believe it or not, I'm not obliged to explain." Dian placed his hands behind his back and raised his head, looking as if he did not care. It was also because this Chilan demon bone was worth 70,000 top-grade devil origin stones that the people who could afford it were definitely not ordinary people. Therefore, he didn't want to offend the three of them and had patiently talked until now. Moreover, these three people did give him a profound feeling. With his many years of insight, he could naturally see some clues. This was especially so for the young man who had not spoken a word the entire time. He had a fair and handsome face, and his eyes were always smiling. It even gave him a feeling as if he was in an abyss, causing his eyelids to twitch. This feeling had nothing to do with his cultivation, but rather with some sort of talent and experience. Even if his cultivation was far superior to his, he would not be able to sense how terrifying that young man was. "If you can't explain it," Aro snorted, "then you're just talking nonsense and finding an excuse." "Humph. I can't believe the flying division would do such a shameless thing. How audacious! Dian almost couldn't take it anymore, his eyes spewing fire. If you dare to insult our flying division again, don't blame us for being impolite. The demons gathered in front of the gate to watch the show all sighed. They all felt that Diane's temper was too good today. Are these three friends here to look at the buyer? Then this young lady will have to show herself and meet everyone. A clear and moving voice came from the inside of the shop. Diane's face suddenly changed, revealing a look of panic. He had been out for so long and had not been able to deal with this matter. He was afraid that he had already made Yao unhappy. When he thought about the future that he had fought for with great difficulty, his face turned white. Everyone's eyes followed the voice. After passing through a long corridor, a graceful figure slowly appeared in the crowd. After a moment of surprise, he only felt that his vision was blurred, and the figure and more than 10 demons appeared in the shop. Yun Xiao immediately felt a lot of cold eyes on him, and he could not help but smile wryly. It seemed that the matter had been blown out of proportion. However, he didn't care. He just looked like he was watching a show. As long as there were no demon lords in Yuan County, no one could suppress him. Even if there were demon lords, he would not be afraid. You? Aro was stunned and stared at Yao. Who are you? Everyone could sense that Yao's status was extremely high, because the moment the girl came out, Dian directly stepped forward and bowed, with a trembling look. My identity isn't something you three lackeys can know, Yao sneered. These words were what Luo had said before. Yao had returned the favor. Luo was speechless and grunted. You said you bought it? But where are the top quality mana stones? I don't believe you can afford it. Yao waved her hand and said to the maidservant beside her. Take out the mana stones and show this minion. Yes, miss. The servant girl was very smart. The demonic vitality stones are still being calculated in the background. I'll bring them over for these three minions to take a look. They'll learn more. She wriggled her hips and walked to the back of the shop in a very flirtatious manner. Dian naturally understood. He gave a look to the person beside him. That person immediately said, I'll go with you, my lord. After a while, the two of them returned. The servant girl took out a storage bag and carefully handed it to Yao. Yao scanned it with her divine sense and chuckled as if she didn't care. She casually threw it on the stage and said, The three of you please take a look. However, Ing Luo, you're not allowed to touch it with your hands. You can only use your divine sense to investigate, she said coldly. Luo Yin's face darkened as he used his spiritual awareness to scan over. His expression suddenly changed and was filled with shock. Yun Xiao and Mo also checked the bag with their divine senses. Although there were simple seals on the storage bag, they could not stop their divine senses. Yun Xiao, in particular, was also shocked when he saw the small space in the storage bag. There were 70,000 cubic meters of supreme-grade devil essence stones stacked neatly in it. The three of you have nothing to say now, right? Yao chuckled and waved her hand. The maidservant immediately stepped forward and looked at the three of them with a sneer. Hold on. Suddenly, Luo's expression changed. He stretched out his hand and blocked the maidservant, shouting, There's a problem. Is there a problem? Everyone was stunned. Yao's face immediately darkened as she said coldly, What's the problem? Don't tell me you want to pester me? Luo smiled eerily and pointed at the purple sky ape Qilin bone. I'm saying that there's something wrong with this. What? Everyone was confused and reflexively looked in the direction he was looking at. Yun Xiao's pupils constricted as he cried out in his heart. Not good. He was the closest to Luo, so he instantly sensed the fiend energy in Luo's body go berserk and rise to its peak in an instant. Boom! The air around Luo also exploded, turning into circles of air waves that shook the surroundings. The maidservant was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. With a miserable cry, she was sent flying several hundred feet away. She slammed into the wall and fell out, creating a large hole. This sudden change caused everyone's brains to crash, and they couldn't react in time. With a flash of movement technique, Luo collected the storage bag on the stage. At the same time, he clenched his fist, and a sharp fist helmet appeared on his fist. Then he smashed his fist onto the stage. Boom! The restriction on the stage was instantly broken and exploded with a bang. Luo Shuang's eyes were filled with excitement as he grabbed the bone. But while he was fast, Yunxiao was even faster. With a flash of lightning, only an afterimage was left where he was standing. The moment Luo's palm fell, the Qilin fiend bone disappeared. What? You? Luo was taken aback. But then he saw a few lightning bolts flash in the air, and Yunxiao was long gone. He could not help but cry out in anger. Don't you dare leave! In an instant, it transformed into a black flash of light and chased after him. Among the three of them, Mo was the last to react. In his shock and anger, he also rushed out of the shop. Everyone in the flying division was dumbfounded. They never dreamed that someone would dare to snatch something in their territory. It took a while for them to come back to their senses. Yao's sharp voice pierced through the air, causing everyone to shiver. Hurry up and chase after her. Hurry up and chase. 70,000 top-grade Devil Origin Stones and the Qilin Devil Bone worth 70,000 top-grade Devil Origin Stones. Even the flying division couldn't afford such a huge loss. Moreover, the demon bone would be of great use to her. Diane's face instantly turned pale and his legs almost went soft. With such a big incident happening in the shop, he definitely had to take responsibility. Now, let alone his future, it was hard to say if he could even keep his life. When he thought of this, his vision turned black and he almost fainted. Fortunately, there were already many experts in the shop, and Yao had also brought many experts with her. After everyone recovered from their shock, more than 10 demonic lights flashed, and many people in the shop were gone. They all went out to chase after Yao. The last ones to react were the onlookers, who only let out all kinds of exclamations after a long time. Yen steadied his body and gritted his teeth. Everyone, leave immediately. This shop will be closed for 1 day. After he said this, he felt as if his entire body had collapsed, and he fell to the ground. The people of the flying department immediately drove away the miscellaneous people and sealed the shop. Yao's face was also deathly pale. If she couldn't recover the 100,000 high-quality Devil Origin Stones, even if she was the daughter of Fei, she wouldn't be able to bear the serious consequences. She gritted her teeth. Go back and report this to my father. The rest of you follow me. At that moment, Yunxiao's figure was as fast as the wind and thunder. In the blink of an eye, he had fled thousands of feet away from the shop and was out of Yuan County. Behind him, demonic light flickered from time to time, as if they were chasing each other, causing the people of the county to stop and watch. However, the ordinary demons could not see anything. They could only see a bolt of green lightning flashing across the sky, followed by a flash of light that kept flashing in the sky. Only the experts could see the true appearance of the light. Many people recognized that a large number of experts from the flying division were using the heaven evasion. They couldn't help but be surprised and asked around. In addition, the news of the shop came quickly. For a time, all kinds of rumors were spread faster than the thunder evasion. In the blink of an eye, they had spread to more than half of Yuan County. I heard that the flight department's Miss Yao, a second-grade demon monarch, was gang-raped by a few unknown people in her own shop. That's impossible, right? Who would dare to touch the people of the flying department in Yuan County, let alone the eldest young lady? I've seen her before and she's indeed a rare beauty. Hee. These days, the streets are full of sperm for brains. Even if you die under a peony flower, you'll still be a ghost. Besides, you might not die after sleeping with the young miss. You might even become the son-in-law of the flying department. All kinds of rumors were spreading in the streets and alleys. There were even versions that said that the young lady of the flying department was a beast and had raped a few demons. On a certain street in Yuan County, 2 black-robed men were walking one after another. One of them suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. He asked in surprise, "That thunderbolt just now seems to be Li Yunxiao's thunderbolt. Oh? He's here so quickly? That's not possible." The black-robed man behind him revealed a suspicious look and said, "During the battle on Songshen Mountain, he was thrown into the teleportation channel and his life or death is unknown. How could he have come to Yuan County so quickly? You must have seen wrongly, right? These two people were Yen and Wei Qing. In order to prevent themselves from appearing a little different, they had put on 2 black robes that covered their auras. The one in front of him was Yi. His black eyes flickered as he shook his head and said, I can't be wrong. It must be him. In the devil realm, it was not that there were no people who could control thunderbolts, but they were extremely rare. Not to mention, the pure azure thunder just now could only be found in the realm of heavenly martial arts, and it could only be done by the 5 elements thunder body. I won't think of a second person other than him. If that's the case, then it must be him. Wei Qing was surprised. However, why is he swaggering through the air with his lightning technique? The two of them stared at the sky for a while, and many of the lights were chasing in Yunxiao's direction. Wei Qingkai snorted and said, Looks like he's caused some big trouble again. The referee nodded and said, That's right. A few peak second-rank demon monarchs have gone over. Fortunately, I didn't see the demon commander's shadow, so he should be fine. Then should we go and take a look? Wei Qing asked. The judge thought for a moment and said, Well, let's not worry about the bone first. Let's see what kind of trouble Li Yunxiao has caused this time. The two figures flickered slightly and turned into nothingness, directly disappearing on the spot. At this moment, Yunxiao had already run dozens of miles away, and the distance between him and the people behind him was widening. Luo was right behind him. He was running and shouting, Stop! You won't be able to swallow the bone by yourself. Let's have a good discussion. Yunxiao laughed and said, We should find a safe place to discuss it. There are too many people chasing us, and I'm a little scared. I'll stop when I'm tired. With that, he increased his speed and once again widened the distance between him and Luo. Ruoyi's face was filled with shock and confusion. He had prided himself on his speed, but he didn't think that he would be so dwarfed by the other party. There was no point in thinking too much, so he could only continue to run. Under the strong wind pressure, Ruo's face was as calm as water, and his eyes were filled with hatred. He didn't think about anything and braced himself to charge forward. Just like that, 3 days and 3 nights later, Yunxiao looked behind him until he could no longer see anyone with his eyesight. Then he found a mountain and landed. He immediately sat cross-legged in the void and began to regulate his breathing and recover. Although he didn't see any pursuers behind him, his spiritual sense could faintly sense that there were still people chasing after him. After all, his speed was too fast, and the fluctuations in his power were too great. It was extremely easy for the experts behind him to catch him. Unless the pursuers gave up on their own accord, they would be able to follow the energy fluctuations all the way here. Then, it would be very difficult to end the pursuit, unless the distance between them and the pursuers was widened to a distance of a few days. An hour later, a demonic light flashed over the top of the mountain, and Luo's figure emerged. Because of his high speed, he glided in the air for thousands of feet before he stabilized himself and teleported down again, appearing directly next to Yunxiao. Damn it! I've finally caught up to you. Qilin Demon Bone. Quickly take out the Qilin Demon Bone. Luo panted, but he still did not forget the purpose of his pursuit. As soon as he opened his mouth, he brought out the Demon Bone of Qilin, and his aura enveloped the entire mountain, fearing that Yunxiao would escape. Yunxiao looked at him with a smile and said, I've been recuperating here for a long time. You've just run here, and you've consumed a lot of your devil essence. How dare you talk to me about the devil bone? Ruo was stunned for a moment. He alertly retreated a certain distance and snorted coldly. I'm just telling you the truth. You're indeed quite strong, but you're not strong enough to monopolize the demon bone. Even if I don't chase you, you won't be able to escape the pursuit of the flying division. Yunxiao's eyes were indifferent as he said teasingly, If I give you half of the bone, will the flying division stop chasing me? Of course not, Luo Ling said. Yunxiao chuckled. That's it. Whether I split you or not, the flying department will still come after me. So why should I split you? Ruo thought for a moment and felt that it made sense. He blinked and said, At least I can resist the pursuit of the flying division with you. With my help, their chances of success will be much lower. You're thinking too much. Xiao continued with a smile. You're overthinking it. If they can't even catch up to me, I'll be able to completely shake them off in another 10 days or half a month. How can they kill me then? Ro's face darkened and he said angrily, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Give me half of that Hualin demon bone, or I'll lead the way for the flying division and leave a mark on the way. Even if I have to escape to the ends of the earth, I'll kill you. Then, Xiao said, are you willing to give me half of the 70,000 supreme-grade devil origin stones you have? Of course not, Aro frowned. I've been coveting the bone for many days now, and even if today's incident hadn't occurred, I would have still planned on snatching it. The 70,000 top-grade devil origin stones are an unexpected fortune. What does it have to do with you? Xiao was instantly stunned by his logic. He laughed in anger and said, fuck off. Get as far away from me as you can. To think that I've been patient enough to talk to you for so long. Don't appear in front of me again. Ro's expression changed slightly, and killing intent slowly emanated from his body. He said coldly, this is not up to you. Xiao's eyes turned cold as he said sarcastically, you won't die if you don't seek death. Finally, someone is seeking death. How arrogant! Let's see who will die. Demonic light. Luo shouted angrily and rose into the air. He performed a series of hand seals and shot out several demonic lights from thousands of feet away. He did not know Xiao's strength, but he did not think that he was stronger than him. However, his countless years of cruel experience had made him cautious, and he did not dare to get too close to him. He decided to test him with a few moves first. Xiao smiled faintly and did not take it seriously at all. He raised his hand, and a demonic light flickered in his palm, covering the beams of light as he slapped them out. Bang! 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 He slapped several times, and the demonic light was all blown away. They exploded in the sky far away, unable to hurt him at all. Luo's face flickered. As they exchanged blows, he immediately sensed that Xiao was more troublesome than he had expected. With a loud shout, he raised his hands high above his head. A demonic shadow appeared behind him, and above it, it turned into the shape of a saber. In an instant, it solidified and suddenly slashed down. Boom! The sky was instantly split in half, and the mountain range was also torn apart. A large area of earth and stone was directly turned into powder and scattered. Xiao's face changed as well. Although he had guessed that Luo would not give up, he did not expect him to use all his strength at once. A cold gleam immediately shot out of his eyes. Under the huge blade, he used his body technique several times. After changing directions several times, he broke out of the blockade of the blade light. What? Ro was in disbelief and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Xiao's figure flickered and appeared above Luo. With an incantation gesture with his left hand, he summoned Alai Shengang, grabbed the handle of the axe with both hands, and swung it down. The axe. Law did not recognize the demonic weapon of the six paths, but the aura coming from the abstruse spear made his heart tremble. He couldn't help but panic. With a hand seal, the huge saber appeared in his hands and he blocked in front of him. Bang! The battle axe struck the battle blade, producing a crisp metallic clang and sparks flying everywhere. Ro felt his arms go numb as the demonic energy in his body churned and he was sent flying backward. What shocked him even more was that the saber in his hand had a small chip on it from the bronze battle axe. Ro's face was filled with disbelief. When he focused his gaze on the blade and saw the fine hair-like pattern, he could not help but take a deep breath and took a few steps back in fear. His saber was not an ordinary weapon, and it was a very famous one even in the devil realm. He had thought that Xiao was unfathomable, so he should be able to take him down with the power of the saber. However, never in his dreams would he have thought that the profound level weapon that he relied on the most would actually be damaged in a single blow. At this moment, there was a faint buzzing sound coming from the saber. Only he, who was one with the saber, could clearly feel that the buzzing sound was not only a groan after the injury, but also a fear that came from the saber spirit's heart. What kind of battle axe is Xianxia using? Ro was dumbfounded. He stood there with his sword in his hand, His mind was blank and he had lost all ability to think. "The axe that will send you to hell," Xianxia said coldly. His figure flashed again, and as the demonic light attacked, the axe struck towards Luo's head. Ro was shocked. The battle axe had sealed the sky and the earth, leaving him no way to escape. He could only summon up his courage and raise his sword again to block in front of him. Bang! The two weapons collided, and Luo was sent flying again. This time he was even more injured than before. Not only was the demonic chi in his body tumbling, but even his head was a little dizzy. What shocked him was that a thumb-sized gap had appeared on the saber, and the crack went straight through the back of the saber, with 3 obvious cracks. Ro felt his scalp go numb and he wanted to cry but had no tears. The demon world was lacking in Shen artifacts, so the value of the saber was comparable to that of the purple sky ape Qilin demon bone. However, at this moment the saber was broken. Although it had not been completely destroyed, only God knew how much it would cost to repair it. More importantly, there was a lack of alchemists in the devil world. Even if they had the money, they did not know where to find someone to repair it. Just as he was in a daze and about to cry, Yunxiao's third axe came at him. Luo's body trembled and he no longer dared to resist. He hurriedly put away his saber and struck out with his palms. Right now, he would rather the hatchet land on his body than let the treasured saber suffer any damage. Bang! The battle axe hit the palm force and sent Luozhen flying again, causing the demonic elemental energy on his body to fluctuate. His expression changed drastically. After a few moves, he finally realized that he was no match for Yunxiao at all. Whether it was the mystic artifact or the cultivation base, Yunxiao was far above him. After realizing this, he didn't dare to continue fighting. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Stop, stop. Brother Li, let's talk this out. Don't use your weapon." "Stop?" Yunxiao scolded. "You think we'll stop just because you say so? I'll cut you into pieces first, and then split the 70,000 high-quality devil origin stones." The battle axe flew out of his hand. After several incantation seals were cast, it expanded to 10 times its original size in the air, as if a battleship was flying forward. Ro Yi's face turned pale with fear. When the battle axe was unsealed, he had sensed an unusual danger and turned around to run. Boom! The battle axe missed, but the aftershock still managed to sweep Luo away. He was sent flying, but he wasn't too seriously injured. This time, Aro was really scared. He smelled the threat of death and quickly begged for mercy. Brother Li, stop. Let's talk this out. This little brother was wrong before. I'll give you all of the 70,000 top-quality devil origin stones." He hurriedly took out his storage pouch and presented it to her with both hands, his face full of pleading and fawning. Yunxiao put away the battle axe and thought to himself, "This kid is really flexible. He's even willing to throw away his face for the sake of his life." However, in this world, survival was the most important thing. Face was only valuable if one had strength. If one didn't have strength and still wanted face, then one would be courting death. He made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers, and the storage bag fell into his palm. After scanning it with his divine sense, he put it away. Although he didn't care much about money, he knew that it was a huge sum of money. In addition, he had also obtained the demon bone of transforming Qilin from the purple Tiangang. He couldn't help but be in a good mood. He snorted, "At least you're tactful. Are you going to take half of the Qilin demon bone?" No, I wouldn't dare." "No." Luo quickly shook his head and waved his hand. "I'm not strong enough. It's a waste to consume the bone. It's a waste." Only Big Brother's strength was perfect to use. And with Big Brother's current cultivation, if you take the transforming Qilin demon bone or absorb all 70,000 top-grade demon origin stones, you will definitely be able to step into the demon lord realm and become a peerless expert who can dominate the world. Yunxiao nodded. "You're good with your words. You're lucky to have survived today. Although you've lost some top-grade devil essence stones, you've learned a lot of principles. It's worth it. You have to know that many people paid the tuition with their lives." Ro pulled a long face but forced himself to be happy. He laughed and said, "Big Brother is right." As he said that, He felt as if he was being trampled by a herd of alpacas. Thinking about the 70,000 high-quality devil origin stones and the priceless treasure saber, he even wanted to die. On more than one occasion, he had the impulse to burst out and kill Xianxia, but his reason still prevailed, and he kept reminding himself that as long as he was alive, there was no need to worry about his future. "All right," Xianxia said. "You can get lost now. There are still many people from the flying department chasing after us. I still have to think of a way to get rid of them." Luo Xinxin greeted Yunxiao's relatives and ancestors, but she still smiled obsequiously and said, "In fact, with Big Brother's strength, you can completely ignore those people from the flying division. Even if Fei comes here personally, he may not be Big Brother's match, so why do you need to hide? We can just kill them all here and make them tactful enough not to cause trouble for Big Brother." Yunxiao gave him a meaningful look and sneered, "Don't think I don't understand what you're thinking. You want me to fight to the death with the people from the flight department, and then you can benefit from it, right?" "I wouldn't dare." Ro's face turned pale. He was indeed thinking that, but he shook his head like a rattle and said innocently, "How could this little brother dare to have such a treacherous thought? Big Brother has really misunderstood this little brother." Yunxiao nodded. "I also believe that you won't. It seems that I have really misunderstood you." Luo hurriedly smiled apologetically. "That's right. Although we had some unpleasant conflicts just now, as the saying goes, no discord, no concord. My respect for you is like a torrential river, endless and irrepressible." "I understand," Yunxiao said with a smile. "I understand your heart. What you said just now is also very reasonable. With the strength of the two of us, we don't need to be afraid of the flying division." "Yes, that's Sing Luo." Ro patted his chest with a smile, but his smile suddenly froze. He pointed his finger back and forth and said, "Eh? The two of us?" "Of course," Yunxiao said seriously. "We can only kill them all if we work together. Brother, you should quickly rest for a while. When they come, you will be the first to fight, and Big Brother will support you." What? Ro was stunned. He pointed at himself with his right hand and said, I'll go." Yunxiao nodded. There was a smile in his eyes, but there was a chill deep in them. "What's wrong, brother? Are you not willing?" Luo stammered a few times, but when he sensed the killing intent emanating from Yunxiao, he could not help but admit defeat and said in a low voice, "It's not that I don't want to. It's just that this little brother's strength is too low. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to kill the enemy, and I'll be a burden to Big Brother." "What are you afraid of?" Yunxiao sneered. "Big Brother is behind you. What are you afraid of? You don't trust Big Brother?" I know Luo. Once again, Aro felt the bone-chilling cold. He took in a deep breath. He believed that if he said no, he would die instantly. He suddenly became extremely vexed and regretful. What kind of idea did he come up with? What kind of stupid idea did he come up with? He originally wanted to benefit from the situation, but in the end, he got himself into trouble. This was a typical case of shooting oneself in the foot. Luo wanted to cry but had no tears. He felt that the whole world was dark and the shadow in his heart grew infinitely. Fortunately, he didn't have much time to be upset, because the pursuers behind him soon arrived. A black light broke through the air and directly revealed a figure not far away. It was not someone from the flying tribe but Mo who had been with them before. The two big brothers ran so fast that this little brother had to chase after them for a long time. Ink's eyes kept sizing up the two of them. He could feel the magic fluctuations in the area, which proved that the two of them had already fought, but he did not know what the result was. "So it's Brother Mo, Luo said with a smile. "You know we're facing a great enemy, so you're here to help us." "What nonsense are you saying?" Mo's face was cold as he said coldly. The two big brothers each took 70,000 high-quality devil origin stones, and the other took the Qilin demon bone of the purple sky python. "I thought that the two big brothers were waiting for the little brother here, so that the three of us could share it." Hee. Luogon chuckled and gave Yunxiao a glance, intentionally or unintentionally, as he said, "Now that the things are in Big Brother's hands, Little Brother does not have any thoughts about these worldly possessions. Mo's face changed drastically. Luo's words were too fake. As if he had suddenly noticed something, he stared at Yunxiao vigilantly. Yunxiao ignored him and continued to sit cross-legged in the air with his eyes closed. Ro secretly gave Mo a look, and Mo immediately guessed 70 to 80% of what was going on. Coupled with the strong magic fluctuations in the area, he roughly understood what was going on. He gave Yunxiao a look and clasped his hands together, indicating that they should work together to deal with him. Ro pondered for a while and shook his head in distress, meaning that even if the two of them joined forces, they had no chance of winning. Mo was taken aback, and as if he could not believe it, he could not help but give Yunxiao a few more looks. Although Yunxiao gave him an unfathomable feeling, he did not quite believe that the latter could win against him and Mo if they joined forces. However, Luo's attitude made him hesitate and he didn't know what to do. Ro gestured for them to calm down and then winked a few times, signaling for Ink to wait at the side. As long as the people from the flight department arrived, they would have a chance to turn the tables. Yunxiao, who had his eyes closed, suddenly said, "Brother Luo, I can sense that many experts are coming over. This brother Mo seems to have a different heart from us, so you should quickly kill him. Otherwise, when a large number of people from the flight department come, I'm afraid we won't be able to defeat them even if we join forces." Both Luo and Mo's expressions changed. Luo said, "Big brother, I see that brother Mo is quite on the same side as us." Yunxiao's face darkened, and he slowly opened his eyes. A cold light flashed in them as he said, "Is it your big brother or my big brother? Do you want to listen or do you want to listen to me?" Luo was speechless and stammered for a few times, but he couldn't explain it. "If you can't take care of this brother Mo before the experts from the flying division arrive," Yunxiao said coldly, "it means that your strength is limited, and I really don't think you are worthy of my attention. I can only let big brother deal with you first." Luo felt a chill run down his spine as he immediately sensed Yunxiao's killing intent. His face turned pale and his face turned extremely unsightly. Mo was instantly alerted. He stared at Yunxiao with a gloomy face, then turned his cold eyes to Luo. "Brother Mo, you can either get out of here or I won't hold back anymore." Luo shook his head bitterly. Mo snorted and said, "Brother Luo, I think you're completely scared of him. With the two of us working together, unless the other party is a demon commander, there's nothing to be afraid of for those below demon commander. Rather than cowering under the threat of this person, why don't you join forces with me? Our chances of victory are still very high." Ro's expression changed several times. It was obvious that he was struggling in his heart. But he suddenly shuddered when he remembered the bronze axe that Yunxiao had wielded. During the whole process of fighting with him, Yunxiao had looked at ease, which meant that he had not used all his strength. The light in his eyes suddenly gathered and he said coldly, "Don't talk nonsense. Big brother and I are of the same mind. How can I be incited by you? Since you don't want to get lost, then go to hell." He raised his hand, and a ray of magic light shot out. Mo was furious. He raised his fist and punched out. With a bang, a powerful force exploded. The two of them were forced back a few steps. Ro frowned and moved forward. He did not dare to hold back, because he could vaguely sense Yunxiao's faint chill invading his body and sending a chill down his spine. If he did not use his full strength, he was not sure that Yunxiao would not suddenly kill him. Therefore, they could only attack with all their might. Even if they couldn't kill Mo, they had to at least put up a good show. The two of them fought for a while. Their strength was not much different to begin with, and it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Soon, the experts from the flying division arrived. Luo and Mo were both shocked. They naturally separated and glared at each other. At this moment, Luo's expression suddenly changed. His mouth subconsciously opened wide in shock, and he let out an "ah." His eyes widened like copper bells. He saw Yunxiao, who had been watching him from behind, gradually disappear in the sky with a smile on his face. Mo's face flickered, and he knew that things were not good. Both of them were smart people, and they knew that they had been fooled by Yunxiao. It was not Yunxiao's real body that had been monitoring them earlier, and his real body had probably left long ago. At this moment, all the people of the flying department had surrounded them. First, it was the experts in the store, then Yao had come in person, and many experts from the headquarters of the flying department had rushed over after hearing the news. They had surrounded the two of them. Not only that, but there was also a large number of onlookers thousands of feet away from the flying division. The other tribes in Yuan County, as well as all kinds of passers-by A, B, and so on. In an inconspicuous place among the onlookers, a wisp of fiend energy slowly rose and manifested into a black-robed man. It was Xianxia. Even if he didn't deliberately conceal his aura, most people wouldn't recognize him. However, just in case, he still wore a specially made black robe and looked no different from an ordinary person. Luo and Mo were both drenched in cold sweat. They felt extremely hot as they stood in the sky, and large beads of sweat rolled down. After the battle, the two of them were exhausted. If they were still in their best condition, they were confident that they could fight their way out. If he wanted to escape now, it would be impossible without anyone's help. The two of you ran so fast that we had to chase you for a long time. Yao's face was dark as she walked forward. Under the abnormal anger on her beautiful face, it caused a chill to suddenly rise in the hearts of those who saw it. Master Yao, this has nothing to do with us, Luo said with a sad face. It's all the doing of that Li. Oh, it has nothing to do with you. Does that mean we're messing around? Yao had been staring at him coldly the entire time. Her gaze had already killed the two of them countless times. Luo waved his hands in the air a few times. He didn't know how to explain. After all, he was the one who attacked first in the store. He could only explain what happened after the two of them escaped. After he finished speaking, he looked at Yao with an innocent face, hoping to win some sympathy. Oh, so you're saying that everything was taken by that man called Li, and he also escaped. I'll leave the two of you here to fight. Yao said slowly. The three of you don't even know each other. You just came up with an idea to steal something from my flying department store. Yes, that's what happened. Luo Xian smiled apologetically and did not forget to look back at Mo. If you don't believe me, you can ask him. Mo Yi hurriedly nodded his head, which was like a chicken pecking at rice. Eldest miss, these two people completely don't put our flying division in their eyes. They're still playing tricks on the brink of death. A demon lord of the flying division said angrily. In my opinion, we should capture them and torture them. This is the only way to force them to tell the truth. Luo and Mo's expressions changed drastically, and they cried, We're telling the truth. We can swear to the heavens. The expressions of the people from the flight department changed drastically. When they saw the two of them really point to the heavens and swear, they looked at each other in dismay. No demon race person dared to swear an oath, otherwise, their heart's devil would consume them for the rest of their lives and they would inevitably suffer a backlash in their future cultivation. Luo Hima did not feel good either, but after making the oath and seeing everyone's expression, he knew that they all believed him. He instantly felt relieved and laughed. With Lady Yao here, how would we dare to talk nonsense? Luo Fei laughed. Yao's expression became even more unsightly. She said in a cold voice, It means that you don't know who that Li is, what his identity is, and where he went. I don't know, Aro said, bowing. I really don't know. Yao nodded, her expression returning to normal. In that case, there's no fucking use in leaving the two of you behind. It would be a waste of time and effort to bring it back. She raised her hand and made a killing gesture. She said in a cold voice, Exterminated! Yes! The people from the flying department around all shouted in response. Suddenly, their killing intent soared to the sky and surrounded Luo and Mo. Luo and Mo's faces turned ashen, and they were completely flustered. However, before they could beg for mercy, attacks rained down on them from all directions. The two of them hurriedly displayed defensive means, but under the siege, they were broken in just a few breaths. Life or death depends on this. Mo Meng gritted his teeth and shouted. Countless runes suddenly flew up from his body, and the roars of ferocious beasts came from his body. Then, a four-horned monster appeared behind him, almost becoming one with him. He opened his mouth and let out an earth-shaking roar, then turned into a stream of light and rushed over. This devil actually devoured the four-horned devilish ox. He's even able to use the demon ox's strength for his own use. He's indeed a powerful talent. From time to time, there were exclamations among the onlookers. Yao was also slightly startled, but she quickly regained her cold expression. Although a talent was valuable, this talent had to die. She waved her hand and shouted, "Kill him!" Mo Gang charged into the encirclement of the flying division and seemed to have found a way out. He was overjoyed and started to run wildly. However, for cold glints flashed and appeared on his left and right. They struck out at the demonic bull at the same time. Woof! With a miserable cry, Mo's devilish ox body exploded and turned into a large number of low-level demons. Yunxiao's eyelids twitched. The four attackers seemed to be very strong, and their status should not be low. After killing Mo Ho, the four figures flickered and returned to Yao's back, as if they didn't care to stand side by side with the people who had besieged Luo. Luo Yi's face turned ashen when he saw that Mo was easily killed after transforming into the demon ox. He shouted, "Someone save me! I have the Buddha's portrait with me." What? His words immediately caused 1,000 waves. Not only did the people who were attacking Luofeng slow down, but they also stopped. Even the onlookers were shocked, and their expressions became serious, as if the matter was starting to concern them. Buddha's picture? Is that true? An old demon walked out from the crowd. He emitted a strong presence and seemed to be excited. He said, "Do you have the legendary map that can open the Buddha corridor?" Luo Jianfei's people also stopped, and he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly said, "Of course." However, as everyone knew, the Buddha portraits were all fragments. Only those who had the fragments could enter the core area of the Buddha corridor safely. "Whoever is willing to save my life, I'm willing to give you the Buddha's picture with both hands. If you really have the stupa, I'll spare your life," Yao said in a deep voice. "Really?" Ro was overjoyed, but he was still worried. "You're really willing to let me go? And make sure that no one from the flying division is allowed to pursue me." Yao's expression suddenly changed as she sneered. "What you've committed is a crime that deserves death. Hand over the Buddha's picture and I'll let you live. If I encounter you again, you'll naturally die." Ro's expression changed and he started to think about the gains and losses. If he could escape, the possibility of meeting him next time would not be great. Moreover, as long as he was not injured and was at his peak, no one could stop him unless the other party came in person. "Haha! Miss Yao, you call this letting him go?" He still had the intention to kill. "What do you mean next time? If you turn around and then turn back again, will this be counted as next time?" A cold voice rang out from the crowd. The crowd immediately parted to form a path, and all eyes fell on the man who had suddenly spoken. The demon lord had a slender figure and fox-like eyebrows. His eyes were cold as he stared at Yao with a cold expression. Yao's expression suddenly changed. "So it's Lord Lu," she said coldly. "Since when did you have the right to care about the matters of my flying department? This person is a furnace." The surrounding crowd dispersed with a walla sound, directly leaving an empty space of several zhang, leaving only Lu standing there alone. "So you're one of the 3 strongest fighters of the Kuan tribe. No wonder you dare to challenge the flying tribe." Tsk. As expected of the stupa, it actually caused a conflict. If the 2 tribes start fighting, that would be fun. The surrounding crowd looked as if they didn't want to meddle in other people's business, and they couldn't wait for the battle to get as intense as possible. Yun Xiao also glanced at the furnace, and he could not help but be curious about the so-called Buddha's picture. He was new here, so he did not know what it was. It's the flying division's business that their things were stolen. But that kid has the stupa painting. What does it have to do with your flying division? Lu sneered. It seems that everyone is qualified to meddle in the affairs of the stupa. Nonsense, Yao angrily replied. The things that my tribe lost were stolen by this person, so it is naturally my tribe's business. It's fine if you want the stupa painting. You can go to him after I'm done with him. The furnace was at a loss for words. It did not know what to do and could only stand there in depression. Yao was right, But by the time the flying department's matters were settled, the stupa would probably be gone. You can't say that. Stealing was one thing, but the Buddha's picture was another. Why do we have to wait for you to solve the problem first before it's our turn, and not wait for us to solve it first before it's your turn? A strange voice came from the crowd again. With a flash of demonic light, a demonic lord appeared in front of everyone. He looked at Yao coldly and then at Luo, sizing him up. "It's Lord Shan!" Someone cried out in surprise, and the crowd stirred. Several demon lords stepped forward and respectfully stood behind the mountain. "Haha, this is going to be fun. The three major forces of Yuan County are all here. I wonder who will get the stupa painting in the end. I'm so excited." "Why are you so excited? No matter who it ends up in, it has nothing to do with you. You minion, you should worry about the low-grade mana stones tomorrow." That may be true, but people are always curious. All sorts of discussions broke out in the crowd, but most of them were excited and just watching the show. Only a small number of people had gloomy expressions, as if they were thinking about something. Hearing this, Furnace was instantly overjoyed. She clapped her hands and laughed. "Lord Shan is right. It's our business to ask that kid for the stupa painting." "Why should we put it behind their business?" "Because this kid is in my hands now," Yaojin said angrily. "That's enough, right? Humph, if we attack, we'll let that kid get to us first. Does that mean we can deal with it first?" Shan sneered and said. The furnace was also brought over from the deserted area, standing side by side with the mountain, showing the determination of a line of defense. "This kid only has one stupa painting," Yao said coldly. "I wonder how the two of you are going to split it." "How we split it is our own business, you don't have to worry about it." Shanha laughed. "Such a low-level attempt to sow discord is beneath you, young lady." The stove laughed. Yao's face turned red and she shouted angrily, "Are you two determined to go against my flying division today? Are you trying to start a war between the three tribes?" "There's no need to scare us, young miss," Lu replied with a smile. "The young miss can't decide whether to start a war or not, and neither can the two of us. It's only a small fight between us. However, for the sake of a Buddha's portrait, this little bit of trouble is worth it. I believe that no one has any objections." Shan also nodded in agreement. Obviously, the two of them were also afraid of the so-called War of the Three Tribes, so they made it clear that it would not involve the disputes of the tribes, but just a small fight for fun. Yao's expression became a little unsightly. After adjusting her breath, she slowly said, "All right, since the two of you are so insistent, you can take this person away. However, there's something I have to remind the two of you." Furnace and Mountain were both stunned. They didn't know why Yao had suddenly become so easy to talk to. "What is it?" Shan asked. "Could it be that Lord Fei has broken through to the Demon Lord realm?" As soon as these words came out, the surrounding demons' faces suddenly changed. They were all shocked and listened attentively. Yao shook her head and said, "Recently, a friend has come to my flying division as a guest. He's in need of a stupa painting. He had wanted to get this card for his friend. It seems I'll have to go back and report the truth, and have that friend go to your house to ask for it." The two of them were stunned, and their expressions became strange. What kind of friend would be worthy of Lady Yao's hospitality with a treasure like the stupa painting? Shan frowned. Yao faintly smiled and her eyes revealed a flirtatious expression. Her appearance seemed to have become somewhat charming. Furnace suddenly thought of something, and her expression changed greatly. She said in shock, "Could it be that Xianxia is that Lord Xianxia?" Yao giggle laughed and teased. "It seems that the intelligence work of the Holy See is quite good." Furnace's face turned ugly, and he gritted his teeth and said, "It is said that not only did the Lord come to Yuan County, but he also seemed to be looking for a human cauldron for dual cultivation. There are rumors that Lord Yao is that human cauldron. I wonder if it is true." "Shut up!" Yao's expression changed drastically as she shouted in anger. "Furnace Lord, be careful of what you say." She gritted her teeth and said angrily, "What cauldron?" They were dual cultivation partners. "If you don't know how to speak, I don't mind making you shut your mouth forever." A look of fear flashed across Furnace Lord's face, and he couldn't help but take a step back. He then hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "I was rude. Please don't blame me, Miss Yao." Pa! He actually slapped himself in front of everyone, then apologized again and again before turning around and running away. His action immediately stunned everyone present. They thought that they had fallen into an illusion and were seeing an illusion. Many people raised their fingers and pressed on their acupuncture points. They only realized that they were not dreaming after feeling the intense pain. Ha ha ha. Yao, however, laughed out loud and looked at the mountain with a mocking gaze. She said coldly, "Lord Shan, no one will fight with you for the stupa painting now. You can take it as much as you want." Shan's face was also extremely unsightly, as if he had guessed something, and his head was covered in cold sweat. One of the demon lords behind him felt that something was wrong and called out in a low voice, "Lord Shan, please." Only then did Shan come back to his senses. His eyes were actually filled with fear as he said in a trembling voice, "Why, Lord Yao, I was wrong before. Please forgive me." Giggle. Yao laughed even more happily and covered her face with her sleeves. After a long while, she stopped and sarcastically scolded, "Useless man! Get lost! Get as far away as you can." "Yes, yes." The mountain wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He didn't seem to be angry. Instead, he happily rolled in the air and ran away. This scene made everyone's jaws drop. With a "Huala" sound, the crowd instantly burst into an uproar. All kinds of guesses and doubts surged into their minds, and countless discussions were heard everywhere. "It's too fake, it doesn't feel real at all. What's going on? Can anyone reveal some inside information? Just who is that friend of Miss Yao's? To actually be able to scare two experts to the point of pissing their pants. And that friend seems to be Miss Yao's future partner. Heavens! If that person had such power, once we become in-laws with the Flying Division, the power structure of the entire Yuan County will change drastically. The people in the surroundings seemed to have caught a whiff of something, and they all became extremely sensitive. Yun Xiao was shocked as well. The Furnace and Mountain were almost all peak second-grade demon lords, and the person who could make them lose their composure like this was not even a demon commander. Could it be a sacred demon? He could not help but fall into deep thought. Not only that, but he also constantly used his spiritual sense to size up these onlookers and found a few interesting people. In another corner, there were also two black-robed men standing there. They seemed to be overly calm and unfathomable. They were Wei Qing and Yen. They had also noticed Yun Xiao at the same time, but they did not pay too much attention to him. Wei Qing was also shocked by what he saw just now and said, "Lord Hu? What do you think is going on?" The judge's expression turned serious. "I'm afraid only a holy demon can so easily intimidate a peak-stage demon lord. However, that woman is only a demon lord. If the holy demon really wants to find a human cauldron, he would have to be at least a demon supreme, which is a little strange. Maybe it's just a demon commander." Wei Qing snorted coldly. "How can there be so many holy fiends in the devil realm? That's impossible." Yi shook his head. If it was only the demon commander, the two peak demon lords would not be afraid. There was too little information to deduce. However, he was certain that this woman's future master would be an extraordinary figure. "I'm quite interested in meeting him. Do I have to have a Buddha map to go to the Buddha corridor?" Wei Qing asked. The referee replied, "Of course not. However, if you want to reach the core area of the Buddha corridor, you must have a Buddha map. I really want to snatch the stupa painting from this kid's body. I just don't know who the future master of that woman is. So I'm a little afraid." Wei Qing's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Since you must have the Buddha's portrait, what's the point of considering? After losing this one, it would be extremely difficult to get another two. Let's get our hands on a stupa painting first. At least, one of us can enter the stupa corridor and find the demon bone of the demon supreme." The referee hesitated for a while before nodding his head. "All right, since you agree, then we'll find an opportunity to make a move and get one first. I don't care who's behind that girl. When this old man roamed the world, these minions weren't even born yet." "Yes." Wei Qing nodded and said, We'll have to pay more attention when we attack later. I think Li Yunxiao is probably around. Maybe one of the onlookers was him in disguise. That can't be, Yi said with a frown. From what the two of them said, they should have escaped without a trace. Hee hee. That's because you don't know him well. Wei Qing sneered and mocked. This person was bold but careful. There was nothing in the world that he did not dare to do. He had just arrived in Yuan County and had already caused such a huge commotion. With such courage, why would he be afraid of anything? He was most likely staying to watch the ending. In any case, we have to be careful. We can't let the stupa fall into his hands. That kid is indeed frightening. The referee nodded. At this moment, Luo, who was in the sky, was also dumbfounded. He stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do. Yao looked at him sarcastically and said, "Do you still want to haggle?" Luo Mu shook his head. "Humph, trash." Yao stretched out her hand and shouted, "Take out the stupa painting and get lost. The next time I see you will be the day of your death." Although Law was scolded, he was relieved and quickly lowered his voice to thank her. He then took out an ancient scroll and carefully presented it with both hands. Yao's eyes lit up, and her face was filled with excitement. A demon lord stepped forward to hold the ancient scroll and carefully handed it over. Suddenly, a powerful aura exploded in the crowd. The surrounding onlookers dodged, but Wei Qing and Yen instantly attacked, turning into two streams of light and shooting over. They were the only ones who still dared to make a move. Although the remaining demon powerhouses also had the intention, they didn't dare to act rashly after seeing the appearance of the mountain and the furnace. Who is it? The experts of the flight department were all furious. Someone still dared to make a move under such circumstances. He was completely looking down on them. A few of the stronger demons charged towards the two beams of light. Bang! In a single exchange, the demon lords were instantly crushed into pieces and reduced to demonic chi. No one had even seen how the two people who had turned into streams of light had attacked. What? Yao and the others were all greatly shocked, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The four demon lords behind her instantly attacked the two. Suddenly, Luo's figure moved and a blade of light stabbed forward, impaling the demonic monarch with the Buddha portrait from the back. Ah! The demonic monarch did not expect that someone would attack him from behind, and the Buddha's portrait in his hand was snatched back by Luo. After that, he slashed his saber behind him and opened up a path after killing two demons. Luo Yi turned into a ray of light and escaped with all his might. Damn it! How bold! No! Yao screamed hysterically and stared in the direction Aro had fled. She couldn't care less and chased after him. What? Not only were the people of the flying division shocked, but even Wei Qing and Yen were stunned. They didn't expect that the kid would be so ruthless and even dare to take chestnuts from the fire. Chase! Wei Qing shouted. He did not care about fighting with the people from the flying division and turned into a stream of light to chase after them with the referee. The onlookers were even more excited. The plot was full of ups and downs, and they were overjoyed to see it. They also hurriedly chased after it. Luo Zhang was running with all his might when a voice suddenly came to his ears. Kid, you have guts. Don't worry. Big Brother is here to save you. Ro almost fell from the sky. His face turned pale and ashen. Hee, don't worry. Big Brother is here for everything. Yunxiao's voice was full of confidence and encouragement, but Luo ignored it. His face turned green, as if he had come to the end of his life. He would think about nothing else but running madly. That stupa painting seems to be very precious, Yunxiao said. I'm a little worried about leaving it with you. I'll keep it for you. I'll return it to you after we shake off the pursuers. A bolt of lightning flew over from Luo's side and instantly turned into Yunxiao. He opened his hand with a smile and tried to grab Luo. Luo suddenly shouted, Don't you dare try to take my stupa! Either save me and leave together, or I'll die together with that map. Besides, without my guidance, you wouldn't have known the secrets of the diagram. Yunxiao was taken aback, and his hand immediately stopped. He wasn't afraid that there was something hidden in the map. Many people in Yuan County knew about it, so it shouldn't be difficult to find out. He was afraid that Luo and Tu would both die, and that would be really troublesome. Don't be so agitated. Big Brother is here, what are you afraid of? Big Brother will naturally save you as well. With a charming smile on his face, Xiao stretched out his arm and said gently, "Relax your body and don't resist my power. I'll put you into the profound level weapon." Ro was stunned for a moment and asked, "What do you mean by put into a profound level weapon? Don't try to play any tricks, or I'll definitely destroy that map." He ran with all his might, holding the picture with one hand, as if he was going through life and death together. But fortunately, he was still obedient, and he knew that Xiao was his only savior at the moment. The probability of him escaping was less than 50%. As soon as Xiao's arm touched Luo, he put it into the Divine Realm tablet. Then, he turned into a bolt of lightning and changed his direction in the air, flying in another direction. This entire process was clearly seen by Wei Qing and Yen behind him. "Li Yunxiao!" Wei Qing roared in a low voice. As expected, it was Xiao. "I knew he would be nearby. Damn it!" He snatched it away again. The people from the flying department and the onlookers were also shocked, not understanding why Luo had disappeared so suddenly. As for the expert who had transformed into lightning, he was a little too fast. Yao's face was dark and she was extremely anxious. Not only did he lose 70,000 top-grade Devil Vitality Stones, but he also lost the Purple Sky Ape Chelan's demonic bone. What was more depressing was that he had also lost the Stupa painting. If this series of events were to be known by that lord and he thought that his ability to do things was so poor, he was afraid that even the matter of dual cultivation would be troublesome. She was so anxious that she stomped her feet, but there was nothing she could do. She could only chase madly, desperately. After chasing for a while, Wei Qing and Yen stopped. They knew what Xiao was capable of. Since he had run so far away, it was impossible for them to catch up. Moreover, even if they were lucky enough to catch up with him, these people might not be Xiao's match. Instead, they would be sent to his door to be slaughtered. "Let's go back to Yuan County first," the referee said in a deep voice. Since the Buddha scroll had appeared, the core of the Buddha corridor was about to open. "Let's go back to the city first. There must be other stupa diagrams." The two of them didn't delay any longer and headed straight for Yuan County. Xiao had been chased by those people for 7 days and 7 nights. He did not run in a straight line, for fear that he would not be able to return if he was too far away from Yuan County. Instead, he circled around the periphery of Yuan County. 7 days later, he finally shook off all the pursuers. With a flash of his figure, he hid in a mountain valley near Yuan County. After regulating his breath for more than half a day, the devil essence in his body was almost recovered. He then entered the Divine Realm tablet in a flash. "Brother Luo, Big Brother is here to see you." Xiao directly manifested in a wasteland and looked at Luo, who was pale and horrified, with a smile. "Where is this place?" Luo Man's face was filled with shock, and his eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Xiao. "Hehe, don't be afraid. This is Big Brother's profound level weapon space." "Didn't I already tell you?" Xiao explained. "Profound artifact space? If it's really a profound level weapon spatial Kasaya, then this profound level weapon is a Kasaya." Luo Isha was dumbfounded. Although he had never seen a saint artifact, he had heard rumors about it. However, he never dreamed that he would one day enter the saint artifact. "But why isn't there any demonic chi here?" Ro was confused again. "Hehe. Don't you think you're asking too much?" Xiao snorted coldly as he reached out his hand and said, "I have already gotten rid of all the people from the flying department. Now, it's time to tell me the secret of the Buddha's chart and the secret of the Buddha corridor." Luo Si looked down and saw a terrifying empty space. Knowing that he could not escape, he said, "You have to swear that you will not kill me and will let me go." "Forcing me to swear an oath is useless against me," Xiao sneered. "If you want to live, you'll have to see the value of the information you provide. Since you know about the saint artifact, you should understand that I'm a true god here. My life and death are in my hands." He pointed forward, and Aro felt an immense pressure from all directions. The chains of law descended and trapped him. Luo Jing panicked. Don't kill me. Big brother. Don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. Only then did Yunxiao wave his hand to withdraw all the power of laws and say, Tell me, but I'll tell you in advance. Big brother's patience is very limited. If you play around and wear down Big brother's patience, then it will be troublesome. Ro's expression changed and he nodded seriously. He said, The Buddha map is a protective talisman that will allow us to enter the central region of the Buddha corridor safely. As for how this map came about, there are many different opinions. The most powerful one is that after a certain period of time, the Buddha corridor will form a complete map, then split into dozens of pieces and shoot to every corner of the ice region. That's incredible. Yunxiao frowned. It's so incredible. Of course. Aro nodded and said, Actually, one can enter the central area of the Buddha corridor without the Buddha map. It's just that the probability of death is extremely high. With this diagram protecting you, you'll be safe as long as you don't get killed by others. Then, is there a demon supreme level demon bone in the core area? Yunxiao asked. Is there a demon Qilin bone? Of course there is, Aro replied. However, over the countless years, not only the demon lord, but even the demon lord would try to enter. Other than the demon supreme level Qilin demon bone, there was also the possibility of obtaining the demon eye jade, or rather, the sacred ice jade. These two were the true treasures of the ice domain. It's also the source of temptation that can attract demon venerable powerhouses. Demon Pearl Jade? Yunxiao's heart skipped a beat. Do you recognize the Demon Pearl Jade? Ro frowned and said, Why would you ask that? Could it be that you also want to find that Demon Jade? Hehe, I'll tell you clearly, the probability is almost zero. You're starting to talk more nonsense? Yunxiao narrowed his eyes and said, You're getting more and more talkative. Ro suddenly felt a chill, and his expression changed. I was wrong. Please spare me, big brother. Yunxiao waved his hand, and the image of the Outworld Darkstone was projected in the air. Take a look. Isn't this the Demon Pearl Jade? What? Ro jumped up in shock and looked at the projection carefully. The Outworld Darkstone kept spinning in the void. Its dark purple exterior was covered with a layer of white crystal. It looked as smooth as jade, and the aura it gave off was sharp and cold. Although it was only a projection, it displayed the cold chi in great detail, creating a very realistic sensory impact, as if it was real. Law suddenly gasped and shouted as if he had seen something terrifying. He went crazy and shouted, Impossible! That's impossible! How is this possible? What's going on? Yunxiao frowned as he sent several incantation seals into Luo's body. At the same time, a stream of spiritual power rushed into his mind to help him calm down. Ro shivered a few times and gradually recovered from the fear. He suddenly fixed his eyes on Yunxiao, clasped Yunxiao's arms behind his back, and shouted, Demon Armor Jade! Demon Armor Jade! Holy Ice Jade! Holy Ice Jade! Do you have the Demon Pearl Jade and the Sacred Ice Jade? If you didn't have it, how could you project such a realistic and incredible image? He glared at Yunxiao like a tiger and wolf, looking very excited. Demon Pearl Jade? Yunxiao frowned and asked, Is that a Demon Pearl Jade or a Sacred Ice Jade? Ro was also stunned. His excited expression turned dull. After a moment of silence, he said, That thing should be a combination of Demon Pearl Jade and Holy Ice Jade. The two sacred objects had been fused together. I don't know what's going on with the strange ice crystals on the surface. Perhaps it's a change caused by the combination of the two sacred objects. Yunxiao was even more surprised. It's actually the combination of two stones? This time he was truly stunned. As for the crystals on the surface of the stone, they were naturally the dark disaster ice crystals. This was equivalent to three powerful things being glued together, making it so nondescript. His expression turned strange as he stared at the Outworld dark stone, not knowing what to do. Luo also gradually calmed down from his near-crazy state. He stared at Yunxiao and said, Who are you? A person who could possess a sacred artifact combined with two sacred artifacts, and whose cultivation was unfathomable, would definitely have a strong background. Ro seemed to have thought of something and suddenly said in shock, Could it be that you're from the ancient realm? The Arceus region? What's that? Xiao asked with great interest. Ro was stunned for a moment, but he did not look like he was pretending. He could not help but feel depressed and said with a bitter smile, "Other than the Arceus region, I can't think of any other place in the demonic realm that would have a monster like you." "You're flattering me?" Xiao said. "Now let's talk about the ancient realm. What is that place? I've looked through many maps of the demonic realm, but I've never seen the name Arceus region. Could it be the ancient desolate land outside the central region?" "You've asked the right person," Aro said. "If it were anyone else, they would most likely not know about the Arceus region." Xiao listened quietly. Luo's identity was also very curious in his eyes. Ordinary people would never know such a secret, and he was so ruthless in snatching the things of the flying forces, and he even had the stupa painting that was coveted by all parties. The so-called Arceus region has only appeared in the past few decades. No one knows its exact location. However, most people think that it's in the ancient barrens. They claim to be from a place called the ancient region. Based on what you've said, the so-called ancient realm is likely not a region but a sect. Xiao asked suspiciously. Ro nodded and said, "It should be a region and a sect. It should be the most mysterious region and sect in the entire devil world. Anyone who came from the Arceus region was known as the Holy Emissaries, and their status was above all other powers. This is because it is said that the fiends of the Arceus region are all saint fiends." "Legendary?" Xiao frowned. "Has no one confirmed it?" He asked. "Is there no one? In that case, are the 8 great demon-venerated regions of the central region also beneath the ancient region?" Ro said, "That's right. Not only are they beneath them, but the 8 central regions also seem to be under the control of the Arceus region. The 8 supreme devils seem to have a very close relationship with the Arceus region." "What?" Xiao was taken aback, and many things emerged in his mind, including the pillar and the demon egg. Now, hearing Luoji's words, the possibility that the pillar came from the Arceus region was extremely high. Furthermore, if the 8 supreme demons were all under the control of the Arceus region, then the source of the invasion of the realm of heavenly martial arts was very likely to be in the Arceus region. However, from how barbarians snatched the devil egg and how the church treated the Arceus region, even if the Arceus region really did influence the 8 demon-venerated regions, the 8 demon venerates were still extremely dissatisfied with the Arceus region. Is it true that no one has ever been to the Arceus region, or that they know the entrance to the Arceus region? If the root of all the incidents was in the ancient realm, it was necessary to go there, even if it was a barren mountain, a dangerous river, or a sea of fire. No. Aro shook his head. "From what I know, the only ones who know about the entrance to the Arceus region are the 8 demon lords in the central region." But now it's the 7 greats. Xiao knew that he was referring to the blue body armor, and he could not help but think, "It seems that I have to make a trip back to Starfall City to find an armor." The reason why Cruel had been so secretive about discussing something with him and being so careful was most likely related to the Arceus region. It seemed that many of the 7 demon lords were at odds with the ancient region, which was a great thing for the heavenly martial arts realm. "There's another faction that might know the entrance to the Arceus region," Luo suddenly said. "Oh? Where?" Xiao asked, raising an eyebrow. "The Flying Division," Ro blurted out. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Xiao's face turn cold. "I definitely didn't know about it before, but the dual cultivation partner that Yao mentioned, as well as the attitudes of the Gua tribe and Kuan tribe, are all very different. Perhaps only a holy demon could intimidate the 2 great tribes to the point of completely disregarding their dignity. Now that the Buddha corridor is opening, it's highly likely that the people of the ancient realm will be drawn here." Xiao frowned. If the fiend leader of the ancient realm is a holy fiend, then the demon bone of Hualin is of little significance to him. Even the demon eye jade and the holy ice jade are of little use to him. Is it necessary to come to the ice region? Ro laughed coldly. "Is there only one person in the Arceus region? I'm sure there'll be a large number of experts of other levels who will need the Qilin demon bone and the sacred ice jade." Xiao was a little embarrassed. As soon as he asked the question, he knew that he had made a stupid mistake. He smiled and said, "Then let's talk about the Buddha corridor. What are the chances of obtaining the demon bone of a demon supreme?" Ro was silent for a while. His eyes were filled with deep meaning as he looked at him, and said with some enthusiasm, "Do you know how the Qilin demon bone is formed?" "It's said that it's because of the influence of the sacred ice jade," Xianxia said. "The demons will turn into this form after they die." Ro nodded and said, "That's right, but you already have a sacred ice jade. Have you ever thought that you already possess the ability to create the Qilin demon bone?" Xianxia was taken aback. He had never thought of this. Hearing what Law said, it seemed to be true. However, he immediately shook his head and said, "But the formation time of the Qilin demon bone is too long." "This is indeed a problem," Aro said with a frown. "Perhaps there are other ways to overcome it. It's just that the people who have obtained the sacred ice jade in the past have been very strange, so there's very little research information on this kind of thing. It's even possible that there's none at all." "At least, it's not a problem that we need to consider now," Xianxia said. "Even if it's possible, I can't just capture a demon commander and turn him into a Qilin demon bone." "That's true," Aro said. "You already have a purple sky silk's demon bone of Hualin. If you get another demon supreme's demon bone of Hualin, the possibility of you breaking through to the demon supreme realm is very high." His eyes were filled with envy. Xianxia gave him a cold look and said, "You don't even have the Buddha's picture now, so don't expect to go to the core area. There's nothing to be envious of." Ro was doused with cold water and returned to the cruel reality. He smiled bitterly and said, "Then, big brother, if you encounter some good Qilin demon bones in the Buddha corridor, please bring a few for me." "Of course, it's not a problem to bring a few along," Xianxia sneered. "But do you have the money to buy them?" "Money? Buy?" Ro was stunned. "Humph." Xianxia snorted. "You don't want me to bring you a few for free, do you? Luo, Ingluo?" "Let's not talk about these useless things," Xianxia said with a wave of his hand. "Quickly tell me how to use this Buddha's picture. I won't let you go before I come back from the core of the Buddha corridor. If I find that the situation is not right, I will throw you directly into the core area and let you die on your own." Luo's face paled as he glared at Xianxia with hatred. He believed that the devil in front of him would definitely do that. Several hours later, the two of them finally finished their conversation. In order to make sure that he could live, Luo Jiwu told Xianxia everything he knew. He even reminded Xianxia about some important things 7 or 8 times, which was so long-winded that Xianxia was a little annoyed. After coming out of the Divine Realm tablet, he flew toward Yuan County with a flash. According to Aro, when the central area of the Buddha corridor was opened, the Buddha map would naturally react, so there was no need to worry too much. Right now, he wanted to find out more about Yao's dual cultivation partner and see if it had anything to do with the Arceus region. Moreover, Wei Qing and Yi were still in Yuan County. He was still considering whether he should meet them. At this moment, the entire Yuan County was under martial law. Anyone who entered or left the city had to undergo strict inspections. In addition, the city's defensive formation was completely open to prevent anyone from flying in the sky or escaping underground. However, this level of inspection was naturally not difficult for him. With a little effort, he easily entered the city. After identifying the direction, he headed towards the headquarters. The pedestrians in the city came and went in a hurry. Their faces were gloomy and their expressions were guarded, as if they were afraid of something. A solemn killing intent filled the entire city, causing everyone to panic. In the headquarters of the flying ship, in a majestic and luxurious hall, the cold air that came with the wall spread out. A huge round table was placed in the middle. All the upper levels were sitting around the table, their faces heavy and waiting. The person presiding over the meeting at the head of the table looked gentle, but there was a cold and fierce look in his eyes. His status as a superior had accumulated a lot of dignity. He was the most powerful person in Yuan County, the head of the flying division, and Yao's father Fei. At this moment, Yao was also sitting at the table. Her face was pale and her eyes seemed to be listless, but she would occasionally glance at the person on her left. The man was very young and had delicate facial features. His eyebrows were sharp and his eyes were bright. There was even a hint of devilish beauty in them. Just by sitting there, he exuded an aura that no one dared to underestimate. If Xianxia were here, he would not have been able to help but exclaim that the man was Li Yi. It was not just the same appearance and aura, but this person was indeed Li Yi. At this moment, he was sitting leisurely at the round table with a cold smile on his face. Beside him were two demon powerhouses with cold expressions, completely different from the people at the round table from the flying division. It seemed like Li Yi was their leader. The atmosphere around the round table was extremely solemn. Other than Li Yi, who was still smiling, everyone else had a grave expression on their faces. "Why aren't you talking?" After a long silence, it was Li Yi who broke the silence. He sneered. "Someone has already reported this to me. TSK, TSK. The first aristocratic family of Yuan County was robbed of their demonic elemental stone and demonic bone of transforming Qilin in their store. The Buddha map that was almost in their hands was also snatched away. Master Fei, your division is really powerful. I'm impressed. I'm impressed." Li Yi cupped his hands in a salute, his actions and words full of ridicule. Fei's expression stiffened, and he retracted his imposing aura. He said in a muffled voice, "Don't worry, young Master Yi. We've already mobilized the entire city to search for those few people. I believe we'll have a result very soon. As for the stupa painting, it was something unexpected, so it was not a pity to lose it. I've already prepared young Master Yi's and the two Lord Holy Envoys' stupa paintings. I'm not talking about the Buddha's portrait. I'm talking about your ability to do things," Li Yi said with a wave. Fei's expression was extremely unsightly as he said, "It must be the people from Guahahuan who reported to you, right?" "What?" Li Yi sneered. "You're not thinking of solving the problem, but of the person who raised the problem?" Cough, cough, cough. Fei coughed a few times in embarrassment. This matter had truly caused them to lose all face, and it had happened in front of the cultivators of the ancient realm. The entire flying division now hated Xianxia and his people to the bone. "There's still Ingluo." Li Yi's gaze shifted down and sized up Yao. His gaze made her cheeks blush and she lowered her head shyly. "Tisk!" Li Yi immediately sneered in disdain and said, "What happened to breaking through to the Demon Lord realm? Without Demon Venerable's cultivation, why would this young master want such a cauldron?" Yao's face instantly turned pale. She gritted her teeth and said, "My lord, don't worry. I'll definitely work hard to become a demon commander in the coming days, especially when the Buddha corridor opens. I should be able to find a better Qilin demon bone." The Buddha corridor? To be honest, this young master really doesn't have much hope. Li Yi raised his head to look at the sky, as if he was filled with thoughts. He crossed his legs and stepped on the table. Such an impolite action made everyone in the flight department angry, but no one dared to stop him or criticize him. Not to mention Li Yi's current status that made them afraid to offend him, even if the two powerhouses beside him were not any weaker than Fei. If they really fought, the entire flying division would be done for. Furthermore, Fei's intention was to rope Li Yi in and use the ancient region's forces to deal with the other two families. He might even achieve the goal of unifying Yuan County. Therefore, Fei only glanced at Li Yi's two legs on the table and did not say a word. Li Yi's lips suddenly curled into lecherous smile. He stared at Yao's body and praised, "Although your cultivation is not high enough, your body and face are quite good. There is no need to wait for some demon supreme realm. Come to my room tonight." This by Yao's face was filled with shock, embarrassment, and anger. She stammered, "If we do it now, it won't benefit young Master Yi's cultivation much." "You don't have to worry about that," Li Yi sneered. "There are many women in the world waiting for this young master to go and nourish them. It's already not bad that you can add some fun to this young master's life." Lecherous laughter spread around the round table, but everyone was expressionless and pretended not to hear it. Only Yao's face turned pale. Although she had always claimed to be the other party's dual cultivation partner, in the end, she was indeed just a human cauldron. Her heart sank and became extremely gloomy. She said in a low voice, ashamed and angry, "Yes, Li Yi put his feet down from the table, stood up, and flicked his clothes. I won't stay in this boring meeting. You guys can continue. That's right. I'm very interested in that demon race man called Li. Remember, we must capture that Li at all costs. Don't worry, young Master Yi, Fei nodded. Even without Master's orders, we'll capture him at all costs. Recently, a large number of stupa diagrams had appeared, and the central area of the corridor was probably going to open soon. Young Master Yi and the 2 Lord Saint Emissaries should have a good rest during this period. Okay. Then I'll go back and rest. Li Yi turned around and left. He even turned back to look at Yao and chuckled. Remember to come over at night. Ha 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 ha. The arrogant voice gradually faded away, and the entire round table fell into a terrible silence.